Well, good evening. Good evening. Happy Friday. Friday, August 14th, 2026. It's been quite some time since I have been here. Welcome back to me and to all of you. Cheers. I know it's been a bit, and I brought an emotional support Canadian with me to help me out because I don't remember how to push all the buttons.
I mean, I remember how to push all the buttons.
Push my buttons, you mean?
Well, that too, but I mean,
That too.
there's all the buttons.
Oh no, I forgot. You still have access to all the backstage stuff. No.
I do.
I had the perfect opportunity to eliminate that with all this hiatus of being away from YouTube, and I failed to do the simplest of things. Oh, how you doing, Ian?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm getting a little nervous because new job, I'm going to be out of town for a bit, so I got to see if my streaming setup will work.
When do you officially start?
So it was going to be the 24th, but they were like, hey, think you could make it in for the 19th? And I was like, I think I can. Yeah. So.
Oh, you're actually going to do it. Oh, okay.
So yeah. One of the things that's got me excited, there's a little fish pond in town.
Oh, so how much actual work are you going to do other than fishing?
Where I stay to where I go to work. So on the way back from work, I'm going to stop and hit the fish pond.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be promising. I'm not sure. I think you'll be miserable the entire time fishing while doing work that you want to do.
And having the opportunity to do more pro bono. Yeah.
It's just getting compensated in a fashion that is commensurate to the level of work you put in. Getting to pick cases that you want to pick and litigate. And, I don't see any upside to this at all. None. There's no way this could possibly go well.
I mean, the downside is because it's like, it's kind of like a dorm space. I can't bring leatherwork stuff. It's too noisy. So.
Well, yeah, certain things, you win some, you lose some. You can't win them all. You really can't. It's not possible.
That is very true.
So to the people that are just now joining who have not ever seen this face, this channel, or anything else. Hi, my name is Rob. I'm a lawyer that practices in Virginia, Northern Virginia. I'm a domestic relations litigation attorney. And I'd like talking. I forgot to talk, man. I forgot how to do all the most basic stuff. I like talking about legal cases, so that's what I do. And I try to do that. I used to try to do that every single Friday, and then life became life, and I wasn't able to do it for a short period of time, and now I'm going to try and do it again. So we're going to see if we can do it. To my left, right, I'm not sure what side, it is Ian Runkle. Runkle of the Bailey is his channel, and he is a Canadian firearms and criminal defense attorney. He is also one of my very, very good friends. And it might be the first time that I have seen the chat in 6 months. It is not the first time I've seen Ian in 6 months.
The chat is going insane and going. Some people are saying that they are demanding Leo proof of life.
Oh, well, Leo is, funny story. I might be able to prove. Well, I don't know if I don't have a date on this photograph. So I don't know if it qualifies as proof of life, but it did make me laugh quite a bit. Let me see if I can't. Remember I said pushing buttons is difficult?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can remember how to do the pushing the buttons.
Buttons, wiggle joystick.
Push buttons, wiggle joystick. Push buttons, figure things out. Can I do that? What happens when I do that? So it's not necessarily proof of life, but it's proof that he likes my phone.
Is the phone alive?
It is. It lived a solid 15 seconds after this. Now it needed to be completely, drenched in alcohol and sanitized, but it was still alive. Very much so. So it's been a minute since I've been on the YouTubes, and
just a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was looking when I was creating this live stream. The last time I was on YouTube was February of 2026, and the time before that, I believe, was November. So a lot has happened. And I can do the TLDR now, or I can wait for a little bit. I'm not sure what I want to do. Nothing necessarily bad, just a lot of life. So combination that was the legal practice. For those of you who, we get accused every now and then being lawyers that are on a live stream, that we get accused of not being real lawyers all the time. And it's very funny.
I'm imaginary.
When people do that and they're like, "You're not a real lawyer." Really? Why am I so tired? I really wish I wasn't. If I was not a real lawyer, I would have far more energy and time and family time. That was part of it. So legal practice picked up, which is remarkable. I mean, I love it. The business is great. And I've got now, I think one of the last times I had talked to all of the chat was, I think I had one associate working under me that I was training up. Now there are 3 associates, and there are 2 paralegals in our office, 3 associates, an intern who's going to become an associate at some point in time if things go well. And litigation practice is great. It's awesome because, like you, Ian, I love teaching. Like, it's my favorite thing.
It is really fun.
But teaching it's time consuming. Like, teaching young lawyers how to lawyer takes about twice the amount of time that you would actually take to do the job yourself. But the benefits are so much more substantial in several fold. One, you get to see a young lawyer learn how to practice law the right way. And I say that because there is a wrong way to practice law. And hey, we cover a lot of cases where people show you the wrong way of how to practice law all the time. And we laugh about them at their expense often. And then there's the right way. And the right way is taught in a very hands-on approach. You can't necessarily learn it from just outside looking in, and you have to kind of experience it. But that takes a lot of time to go along with. That was one development. Another development is one I've been kind of nervous about talking about. But realistically speaking, a lot of you have asked and often ask about Mama Morton and how she's doing. She is healthy, physically healthy, but there is early onset Alzheimer's. And what's interesting about it is I've learned so much about this disease and what it does and how it affects the brain and how it affects everything around it. And I've litigated cases where one of the parties to the case, a capacity case or a guardianship case or a conservatorship case. And so I see it in my practice quite a bit. And I talk to medical professionals about it, and I've handled it. It is very, very, very different to experience it. Really different. For those of you who've ever heard me talk about my mom, she was a powerhouse of her industry. She's the first females to ever really advance at that level and to become as powerful as she was. As a kid, I would constantly watch men leave her office crying. And that was in a field that was largely male dominated. And her brain and her mind and her mental acuity was her strongest asset. That was one of the things that made her as powerful as she was. And we noticed it started slipping a little bit here and there, and it was slow developing. But one of the things I learned about the onset of Alzheimer's and how it works is your brain is so fragile, and you're not really sure. Doctors can't really tell you. They can give you an estimate of how it would progress or what might happen, but they don't really tell you what it looks like, or that, I don't know, one day it could accelerate. And all of a sudden there's sundowning, or there's wandering off, or there's not necessarily hallucinations, but you are imagining histories that don't exist, or you are taking a timeline that exists historically and you're forgetting where pieces line up. It's not to the point where she doesn't remember names or people, but it is to a point where very difficult for her to perceive what reality is. And that became very time consuming. I have to thank God that I've got my sister and my brother, because it was time consuming for the whole family. My sister took a very large burden. She's an angel, literally an angel. She took the massive brunt of the burden, but the challenge was she was in Arizona, and that was no longer logistically feasible. So had to undertake all the different things that were in place to get someone who was living independently with assistance to a place where we could have almost more immediate oversight over her and where she actually got the care that she needed. And it was remarkably labor intensive, emotionally intensive. It was a lot. I won't necessarily say it was all bad. There's a lot of good too. And right now she's stable, she's happy. We've gotten a lot of things done that we needed to get done, but that was a very large chunk of why I had taken some time, because I had to get that to a place where calm and comfortable is how I'll kind of phrase it, where it's not so much just handling the one transition and then all of a sudden it's done. It still lingers and there's still a lot of the emotional resonance there. That was one, legal practice, and then just general family dynamics. There's two young little mischiefs. And oddly enough about the mischiefs. You know the phrase, with cats away, the mice will play. So Mischief Manager does not know that I am on YouTube right now. I mean, she probably knows by now. She might have gotten an alert. And I have not yet gotten a text message getting yelled at for being on YouTube. But Mischief Manager and the minis are away, and I will be joining them tomorrow. I have a very early flight. But honey, if you are watching, I apologize for nothing. We knew it was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. And it's kind of better to do it now. Oh, by the way, honey, if you are watching, I have already packed my suitcase and I have already arranged for the Uber to take me to the airport. So my checklist is basically done. I am allowed to at least unwind a little bit. So that is, I think, kind of a deal. Oh, we also did, I also had some summer activities too. And Ian participated in one of said activities.
I hear knocking, but it's the pup.
Oh, which pup is knocking on the door?
Zora, I'm sure I could tell from the tail, but she's wandered up and then wagged her tail, and I could hear thump thump.
The thumping on the door with the tail?
Yep.
Well, so this summer, as with every summer, I take my family to the Pacific Northwest. And I've always intended on inviting Ian, and the stars had never quite aligned, but on this particular summer, they aligned. We made them align.
Yeah, there was some wrenching of the stars. It was like, get over this, get over here.
Yeah, we had the yank stars, and they're stubborn things, the stars, getting them to do what you want to do. But then we also had a little fun with it too. We were gonna tease people on the YouTubes and chat wise.
We did.
And we did. The only one I don't think I did release was I didn't release that photo. I mean, I was going to put that photo out there and just kind of show the backs of our head. Just have people try to guess where we might be. But no, I didn't end up doing that. But you guys can also see let's see, here we go. Let me see if I can't share this one. Share the window. You can see the front one too. So we had a good time. Mm-hmm. We had a very good time. Kristen says no one would have known that was Rob. Yeah.
Oh, well, I had all sorts of people accusing me of, well, it was funny because there were some people who were distinctly mad when I posted that one AI generated image or AI altered image.
Yep.
Like somebody's like, you can't do this to us. And I'm like, I can, and I did.
Yeah, we had a really good time. It was great. So it was several days Pacific Northwest. Got to hang out with both Ian and Mrs. Runkle, and families got together and got to hang out, do all sorts of hiking, trail walking. I mean, we had a great time. And then chatting and eating food and trying to get kids to behave and eat food, which is always fun. It was great.
They're good kids.
Yeah, we had fun. You had good fun with the kids.
Yep, they're good kids. They're
Now there was a funny story. So you have to take a little puddle jumper plane to get to that place. very small. And the deal I made with Ian was, Ian, you get your butt to Seattle and I will get you the rest of the way. And he says, good, I'm going to be in Seattle on this date. And I said, wonderful. I'm going to get the plane to pick you up on this date. And he said, cool. And before I even really thought about it, I texted him the confirmation and I texted him the available dates and times. And I said, so we're going to get the plane there. Here is your available time. By the way, I never asked if you're comfortable with small planes. And I said, if you're comfortable with, or not comfortable with small planes, there is a Cessna 172 and a Cessna 206. And I immediately sent him images of what a Cessna 172 and a 206 looks like. And the 206 is not much of a bigger plane than a 172. It'd be tiny. Ian goes, not necessarily as far as being good with small planes, but we're going to make it work.
Yeah, it was like, I will be good enough with the small plane. We're going to make this happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had some fun. I didn't really have a whole lot of plans going into this, but I did end up catching up on one of our favorite South Carolina derelicts. I actually got to watch the whole hearing on 3x speed. So we get to catch up on some Alec Murdaugh.
That's good, because I missed that one today. I've been doing getting ready to go stuff. I just realized that the place I'm at is like, we do not have laundry. And I was like, of course you don't. That would not be something I'd expect, but I hadn't actually thought about like the laundry aspect of things. So now I got to buy detergent and got to get everything ready for that and all the fun stuff that you don't really think about when you're like, all right, I got to set up a second place.
Mm-hmm. And you have to do that by Wednesday.
Yeah. Although I mean, it's in a town, so it's not, it's not like a remote work camp or something where anything I forget, I'm just SOL. So, but they don't have a Canadian Tire. They don't have a Walmart. It's I
mean, you get what you get. So you try to bring the stuff that you might not get.
Yep.
So.
Well, and also it's got a communal kitchen. So one of the first things I did was I need kitchen knives. Because people always trash the knives in communal like kitchens. If you get a hotel room that's got a kitchen, it'll have knives and they'll be the worst thing ever. So I was like, nope, I got knives that I like. So bought knives. I sharpened the knives. It's yep. I think I'm ready. I think. Somebody says bring lots of hot sauce. I discovered that you can fit, I think it's 17 hot sauces into a military ammo can, the smaller size of the ammo cans. So I'm bringing an ammo can full of hot sauces.
So it's ammunition, just of a different kind.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a potential weapon of war.
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, if you eat enough of it, it'll cause projectiles out of some direction.
And now the chat is going to be like, Rob?
I mean, the joke was right there. I just kind of had to take advantage of it.
It was.
Yeah. I can't really say it's not. But all right, let me catch up on some of the super chats. And then I do want to roll to, actually, I want to catch up on super chats. And I want to roll to a little bit of you and I discussing the Lindsay Clancy trial. Because for those of you who didn't catch it, I was able to join Ian at least last Friday, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Catching up on some of the Lindsay Clancy trial, and it's going places. I don't think it's going where the prosecution wants, but I did want to chat about it briefly.
It's like not anywhere good, but places.
The Jet JJ, welcome back. You were missed. Thank you very much. That's extremely kind of you. J Michael RN becoming a member. Carol with a C and an E, thanks for becoming a member. Ballet Girl, thanks for becoming a member. Lindsay Metcalf coming in here. Welcome back. Absolutely support you taking however much time you need or want with life stuff. But also, we have very much missed you. Thank you. Thank you. That's really kind. Y'all have been really nice in letting me take this time. The World Wonders 34, thanks for becoming a member. 9 Inch Nails Gal 1994, thank you for becoming a member. Devin Hello, my friend. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Kel Marie, Rob is alive. I am. This is Rob. I am not fake Rob. I am the real Rob. Brentwood Chic gifted 50 memberships. Brentwood Chic, that's exceedingly generous. Thank you very much. Mysterica Claus, welcome back. The band is back together. It is. We're going to try and hang it that way. Lone Star Living 24, thanks for becoming a member. Annabelle Feinstein, the best legal streaming duo ever is back. Leo updates are mandatory after this long of a break. I will do my very best to secure more live real-time Leo updates. Leo is presently at he's at the Leo Hotel, or the dog hotel, because I'm flying out very early in the morning.
Does he like the dog hotel?
He likes the dog hotel. He doesn't like the drive there, but he likes the dog hotel because the dog hotel is his trainer. So he goes to hang out with him, and his trainer runs him like crazy. Now he comes back weighing like 10 pounds less because he runs like crazy. But
that's better than my experience where they come back weighing 10 pounds more.
Well, didn't you find out they were like feeding, was it Zora that was getting all the food?
Yeah, it was basically just they were getting free fed. So she got real big real fast.
Yeah, that'll happen with dogs. Yeah, free feeding is kind of that's asking for a nightmare.
Yeah, and then she's very unhappy with the whole notion of that ending. She's like, "What do you mean I'm not getting free fed anymore? This is crime."
There are limits to food? No, I refuse to accept this travesty. Yeah.
Okay. He's like, you should ask them if they'll let you speak at the next crime con as like a criminal.
Is she going to forget you because you are spare human and you were leaving her with primary human?
I don't think she's going to forget me, but she will probably be annoyed at me for not being there. So whenever I go away for a while, the thing she does when I come back is she'll like pretend I don't exist from a position of also really clearly missing me. So she'll be like, "You don't exist." And I'm like, "Then why are you feet away?" She's like, "Yeah, shut up."
You don't exist. Why is your butt rubbing against my leg? Like, why are you staring the opposite direction, but right on top of me? Yeah. Dogs are great. They're phenomenal. Shanta, Friday nights are great again. My favorite streamers and duo. Thank you, Shanta. Lone Star Livin, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That's very kind of you. Laura Christine, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. That is much appreciated. Kristen M96, it's a 3D model of Rob. Not only is he streaming, but he's started early. I actually did. I set the stream for 7:45, but the thumbnail thing said 8 because it's an old placeholder thumbnail. Still working this stuff out. It is what it is. But if you thought I started early, then I am very happy that you thought I started early. Laura Christine, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Thank you, Kristen, for the super chat. Victor Man 7777. Fridays are going to be better again. Welcome back. Thank you. I'm going to try to keep it up as best I can. Sarah Marie is me. Thank you, Brentwood, for the membership. He did make it rain. He or she, Brentwood Chic. J. Michael RN, life has changed so much. I took a new job with an agency that matches the state you live in. Oh, really? Oh, very, very interesting. And I'm enjoying life. Oh, enjoying life is a very important part.
That is critical.
But I'm glad to see you here. Missed being here. Missed hanging out with all of you guys. Nancy Druby, so happy to see you back on the tubes. Rob, hope all is well and things get back to normal for missed you a lot. Thank you. Radio Man S3, Friday Night Friend Z. That we might have to change the title of that. Time Lords, thank you for gifting memberships. Good to see you, Time. Hope all is well with you. Making a lot of costumes and enjoying all the crafting. Phoenix Fire 1977. Yay, you're back. I'm going to be back for as long as I can. Dina Kawaji gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Katri 5045. So happy to catch this stream live. Today marks a personal, sad first-year anniversary for me. So to see some favorite faces certainly helps. Those first-year anniversaries are very difficult. So I'm glad that you're among friends. 9-Inch Nail Scout 1994. I have a chance to come online and there's Rob. Missed you both in many of the chat while life was lifing. I hope everyone is well. I'm also slowly coming back. Teaching is hard, but so very rewarding. Teachers getting back into full swing. Those kids are little monsters that are phenomenal and lovable, but they are little monsters. Niklas, good
I
to
was
see you,
gonna
buddy.
say they're not always phenomenal, but they can definitely be monsters.
Yes, they are challenges and fun challenges sometimes, but sometimes it's just challenges, which is yeah. Nick Starro, it took me a decade before I became a decent at what I do. Now I am great. A few years before I plan to retire. That's the way it always works, right? You become the master at your craft right before you call it in. Torin, Rob, they found out what was making me weak. Oh my gosh, CIDP. But the treatment has got me better than I've been in 10 years. Oh, that's phenomenal news. Getting the new CNC router soon. Congratulations on the new toy in the shop. And I'm glad you're feeling better. I know it was rough there for a while. Nine
Oh,
Inch
I want
Nails
a
Gal,
CNC
thank you
router
for
so bad.
I
I'm
say you can have
envious.
mine. I haven't been able to be in the shop forever.
Hey, yeah.
Brentwood Chic sending you strength, Rob. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Aaron Olivia T, so happy to see you back. I'm glad to be back. Victor Man 7777. Broken heart, been through this with my dad, so sorry. It's very difficult. It has been very educational on the fragility of the human mind. And I'm telling you, man, I think I might have made the joke to you. If I ever get to that point, I give full permission for someone to dig a hole in the back of the house.
Yeah, Mrs. Runkle's instructions, which, I'm not sure are ones that can be followed lawfully, but she's like, if that's me, just, hold a pillow over my nose. And I'm like, that might be awkward, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's a complicated thought process too. Lindsay Metcalf, sorry. Rob, routing Ian and Mrs. Runkle through Seattle instead of telling them to fly to Victoria and get a ferry is diabolical. 1, there is no ferry from Victoria to where we were. 2, I wasn't sure how the little itty bitty plane was going to clear customs when it was in Victoria, so I thought the easiest way was for him to clear customs in a very large airport where they're good at doing that. And it turns out I was kind of right. Plus, you got to hang out and check out Seattle too.
Yep, I got to do a meetup.
Really fun. Oh, you did?
So I got to meet a bunch of people, and I always enjoy the meetups.
That's awesome. Sandy, thank you for gifting 20
the bar, though.
Why? Because there's a lot of people that showed up?
There was 6 or 7 of us. It wasn't a huge thing because I gave people precisely 3 hours notice. But the bartender was like, who are all these weird people?
Yeah, it also happened. I don't know if I planned this out very well because it also happened to coincide with the World Cup.
Yeah, we avoided the heck out of that.
And when the World Cup was in Seattle. So
yeah, we avoided the heck out of that.
Yeah, it would create an interesting dynamic. Henhouse Bath Company, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Joshua, thank you for gifting memberships. Y'all, the mods are in the house. Say hi to them. Thank them. They hung around and they kept on encouraging me, etc. Celebrial, thanks for becoming a member. Chat Mom Lynn, I never left. You were sorely missed. Thank you. Thank you. Red Pen made my whole weekend seeing this pop up tonight. I didn't give people a lot of notice because I was honestly twofold. 1, panicking to get it up, not wanting to commit before actually being able to do it. And then 2, forgetting and kind of building up the nerves again to actually hit the go live button, which is not as easy when you haven't done it for a while.
I've had that moment where you're like, oh, I haven't done this for a while. Oh God, I hope everybody is okay. I hope everybody's chill. And then you got to hit the button and just, all right, here we go.
Yep.
Deep
and then
breaths.
all of a sudden you're live and there's a lot of people around and you're just going, there's a lot of people. And the scary thing is every now and then, when you haven't done it for a while, you actually look at the number and you start doing the math and you're like, that's, I don't talk to that many people at one time. That's not my personality. I like courtrooms. I like the theater of courtroom. But if you put me in, actually, I'd probably enjoy that. I'm a bit of a ham.
It gets stressful when you've got that many people in the courtroom. I've had the moment when you're arguing. I've had the moment when you're arguing and suddenly there's 50 people behind you. It's like,
oh yeah,
could give that a miss.
On
So,
motions days, and like you've got a whole lot of people there, and you're really nervous about what you're going to say.
or just they'll sometimes bring in like groups of like high schoolers for them to learn about the justice system, and suddenly you've got like this big crowd of high schoolers behind you, and it's like, oh shoot. Although one of my prosecutors friends had the experience of he was running a pretty weak trial, and so, but he had to run it because it was like, well, it's one of those things where you just can't drop it. And but he's making his arguments, and he hears laughing behind him, and it's the high schoolers. And he's like, yeah, that was real hard, because the judge then is like, please don't laugh at counsel, he's doing his best. And he's like, that's worse. You're not making it better, you're making it worse.
Stop drawing attention, Judge. Let him laugh and let me ignore it, please.
Yep.
Maggie Musing's bringing up a good question. Rob, was there a party for Judge A? There was a very small get together. They were very brief about how they announced it, and it was kind of like, hey, there's cake in the jury room. No, we had a little more notice than that, but it was kept small. Judge A is actually now a mediator in Virginia, and I actually might be lining up a mediation with her relatively soon. So we'll see.
I would love to just be able to sit down and just chat with Judge A and just be like, all right. I'd just like to ask questions like, tell me everything.
That's what I mean. It makes me a little nervous. So when they become mediators, they really do try to make it more casual. Some of them insist that you call them by their first name, and it's very, very uncomfortable.
Oh, that one I'd be.
Yeah, it feels
like,
weird. It feels weird. Like Judge Smith, call me Dennis. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna call you Judge. It's just gonna make my life easier. Just make me feel comfortable. I had one of our very short sitting chief judges, Judge Roush. She became mediator after she retired, and we were in the mediation, and we had finished it. And I was like, Judge, and I held my hand out. She goes, oh no, I'm a hugger now. And I was like, oh my God. And she like reached in and gave me a hug. And I was like, this is weird. I don't know how to do this.
I can't imagine Judge A has become a hugger, but
I will tell you, you did notice a certain levity to her as it started to approach the end of that tenure.
Yes, she's got a sense of humor, but yeah, I can't imagine the hugging.
Yeah. Let's see.
I need to step away for just a moment. I've got chicken.
That's fine. No worries. I'll pull you down till you come on back. Ooh, I don't like the big one. Go away. Welcome back, Rob, says Byron Butterfield. Thank you very much, Byron. Need more vampires. Thanks for becoming a member. Sherry A2, thanks for becoming a member. Mostly harmless fuzzball. How many R's in strawberry? There are 3. Because I'm reading it. I think there's 3 R's. Yes, because I read it. Baby Steps 22. So happy to see you. You have been missed. I can relate to your circumstances. Prayers to all. Prayers to all. Indeed. E Warner 4142. Glad you're back, Rob. Thank you very much. Sherry A. Thank you for the super sticker. Here, yeah, from CS Tears. Thank you very much. Sarah Marie is me. Missed you. Needed this tonight. My dog has had 2 seizures today. Oh my, puppers. She usually has them in clusters of 4, so I'm in for a long night. Keep her close. That's really tough. It's really hard. Hope she's okay. Annika Hildebrand, good to see you, Annika. Thanks for becoming a member. Mama Wolf, thank you for gifting memberships. It's very kind of you. Freddy 3D, woohoo, FNF, so missed this. I did too. Ohio Palm Mom, new member, thank you. It's Millie 2010. Thanks for becoming a member. Steve A 42. Very glad for the return of FNF. Thanks. We're glad to have everyone back. Mama Wolf, prayers for you, Rob. Thank you, Mama Wolf. Kel Marie, best surprise ever. So good to see you. You were missed. Thank you, Kel Marie. Bonnie Nom. See, this is the problem with how YouTube has redone their naming. You guys used to have these screen names that you loved, and I remembered all of them really well. Now it's trying to relearn them. And not just that, but when they condense all your names, like, like Bonnie Namensen 9669. I'm going to go with that. Welcome back. How's Leo and the fam? Fam's great. Leo's great. All chaos. We're going to enjoy the chaos and live the life. Mama Wolf, I had to take care of a grandfather as he declined from dementia. It is harder than I ever imagined. Please take care of yourself too. Thank you. Thank you. Doing my very best. Lady Drake, glad you're back. Lots happened this year. And great news, you finished your PhD. Yeah, do we need to change it from Lady Draconis to the Dr. Draconis? I think it needs to be the Dr. Draconis. Probably the better name. K-Rab 1791, so sorry for what you're dealing with. Make sure to take care of yourself. You can't help your mom if you run yourself ragged. That's why I said my sister's been phenomenal. She has carried the lion's share of that weight. I have taken care of myself to the extent I can. And I've been a lot healthier too. The Dr. Draconis, thank you for gifting memberships. Deej6584, thanks for becoming a member. The World Wonders 34, I will note that I shouted when I saw the notification and startled my dog. I'm sorry for the dog. He's fine. He got a treat. Oh, I'm not sorry for the dog. Very happy for the dog. Welcome back. Glad to be back. Oh, Lauren L., thank you for gifting memberships. That's very kind of you. 10 memberships. Midnight Dreary, glad to see you back. You've been missed. Thank you. Thank you. Lauren L., thanks for becoming a member. Fiona W., 777. Thank you for gifting 20 memberships. There's a lot of memberships pouring in tonight, guys. Hello, X5M. Does Judge Ana how loved she is? I think she does. I think it's kind of awkward to her. She did a great interview. So go check out the interviews that she did. I forget what news channel she did, but talking about how it was kind of awkward how people recognizes her. But it's neat for especially young ladies to see that figure in that role. It's really cool to see. Honk Banana No. I was so disconnected from the whole idea of law and lumber. I never got even considered looking for it. So happy you're back. Thank you, Honk Banana. Creed, good to see you, bud. Rob came back, and I'm immediately between like 4 wildfires in Croatia. Omen? I hope not. Hope to see y'all next Friday with a non-smoked out house. By the way, how long does it take lawyers to lose the fear of a judge after they start mediating? Honestly, we don't necessarily have a fear of the judge. It's more an awkwardness. It's a not really sure how to address them because they are no longer on the bench. And a lot of them insist that you refer to them more casually. And there's some judges where that's more comfortable than others. So it's not that you ever fear them. It's just you don't know how to engage with them in the capacity that's not them in the robe on the bench deciding things and now your peers. I think it'll feel weirder when some of the judges that are now presiding, like who are of my age that I knew as lawyers, when they retire and go back down, I think it'll be easier at that point in time because I knew them by their first name before they took the bench. There's no reason why I wouldn't call them by their first name after they're on the bench or when they're not wearing the robe. The dash in between, hello, my spiffy, legal, mumbo jumbo, talkie brother from another brother, have missed you. I've missed you too, bud. Hope the CRPS is well under control and you're doing well. See, I remember. Music to my soul, FNF is back. I've missed this so much. Hi, Rob. Hey, music. Michigan Farm Boy, welcome back, Rob. Thank you very much. Niklas, Rob is one of few content creators who can do 5 minutes of content and 2 hours of reading super chats. It was more than 5 minutes of content, Nick. It was a lot of story time. E. Carroll with a C and an E. I had to put my grief dog down today. Oh no. So I was happy to see you. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Hope we can find an outlet. Music to my soul. I joined 6 months ago. My timing is excellent. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I am sorry, guys. I really am. And it's the difficulty is when one of the things I've realized with social media, and I'm probably sure that you guys have too. It's very difficult to be anything other than all or nothing, like really hard. Because you start dabbling or you start saying something back, and then there's an expectation of responding to a lot of other stuff or keeping up and being in the loop. And that was really intimidating to like connect a little bit, but not be in a capacity or have the ability to actually reconnect. So we're working on that. We're trying to manage personal boundaries and understand that we don't have to do all the things at one time, but we're going to try to do them as many as we can. Fiona W., good to see you. Rob, good to see you too. Lauren L., it's like a high school reunion. We actually want to attend. So glad we get to see you back and see everyone in the chat. Lots of love to Mama. She gets it. Nice thing is that we were able to move her really close in proximity to my sister and my sister's two adorable, very loud young girls, very high energy young girls. So they get to see her a lot. Auntie Candy, you are so loved. Such a kind community. Thank you. They are great. They go by the sparkle farts. Just accept it. If you're new here, you'll learn. I'm not sure how, but Unicorn King, Sparkle Farts, Ziggy, who's behind me. And then if things get really crazy, there's actually a unicorn one or a hoodie I can put on. But I don't want to scare off people who are finding this for the first time. Not just yet. We'll get there. Happy Annie, thanks for becoming a member. Excuse me. Hey, welcome back. Thank you. Midnight Jury gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Woodstack Daddy is back. It's Matt Bond. I remembered Matt. A non-mouse, as in anonymous. I helped my parents take care of a maternal grandparents. Both had dementia and other issues. Hard as it was, happy as I was able to do that for them and cherish the funny moments and love we had in that time. I will actually agree. Elia, hell, I'm late. It's late. I'm happy I catch the start. Replay later. Everyone on replay is wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So we have made it through those chats and wanted to get caught up, and we're going to start doing a little bit of Murdaugh. So Alex Murdaugh. Actually, I got to do a swoop. Wait, you guys can see the unicorn. You can see the unicorn because the unicorn is a swoop unicorn. Swoop. Unicorn swoop. Yeah, we have a double swoop. We have all the swoops. Alex Murdaugh. For those of you who recall, Alex Murdaugh, the infamous South Carolina, what do we call him? I think Creighton Waters referred to him as the family annihilator. South Carolina's most disgraced attorney, who was granted a new trial because of the misgivings of a certain elected Colleton County clerk of courts, Miss Becky Hill. Becky Hill herself wrote a book called Behind the Walls of Justice, detailing the in and outs of the court and the jury trial as it related to Alex Murdaugh. Well, one of the things she did was say a lot of stupid stuff in the book, which kind of led to her own downfall. And she also was quoted and found to have made several comments to the jurors, perhaps persuading them in how they should view Mr. Murdaugh. We don't like that. We especially don't like that when it comes from a elected clerk of the court who carries with that position the imprimatur of power and authority of the court. So he was very properly granted a new trial by the Supreme Court of South Carolina in one of the most resounding rebukes of Miss Courthouse Becky that could have ever come. Oddly enough, hang on. I think I have a little bit of introduction. Let's do this. Let's talk. We can mention Courthouse Becky as we lead into this. It's one of my favorite ones too.
Those photographs that were sealed court exhibits under your control found their way into the public media, did they not?
I believe they did. And I think what happened, it was someone from the gallery took a picture from a screen that had some of the pictures on it, if I'm remembering correctly.
So you think that you're aware of the fact that some of these on the scene photographs of the two decedents found their way into the public press. You're aware of that, are you not?
Yes, ma'am, I am, yes.
And you contend that they photographed them in the courtroom?
That is what I heard.
All right.
Well, the Supreme Court of South Carolina found her just as believable. And that ultimately led to a unanimous disposition that said we have to set aside and vacate Alex Murdaugh's conviction, convicted for killing his wife and son. So Alex Murdaugh gets a new trial. Here's the biggest challenge with that new trial. And it is pretty much summed up in 2 words. Holy shit. How are we going to do this again? Because it was hard enough to get a jury seated in the first trial because of how much publicity the entire shenanigans, all that went into it, garnered in that first proceeding. I mean, this is not just a story you hear every day. People created a whole podcast focused on this trial. So what are we going to do? How are we going to manage it? And where are we going to get? Not to also, here's the other added caveat to this. This trial gave us some of the most entertaining lawyer characters that we get to see. I've mentioned in the past that the courtroom is a theater, and in this trial, it was absolutely theater. Led primarily by the 2 lead actors, Creighton Waters for the state of South Carolina, and Dick Harpootlian for Mr. Murdaugh, his lead counsel.
Dick Poot.
Dick Poot. Exactly. Mr. Poot point the shotgun at the prosecutors and say, tempting. This trial gave us more minutes than you could ever imagine. And for those of you interested, there actually is, I think there is a playlist on my channel of my Alex Murdaugh coverage. Not only did the Supreme Court of South Carolina offer some very heavy rebukes towards Courthouse Becky, but also some pretty sharp criticism of Judge Newman, specifically as it related to rulings on Mr. Creighton Waters' favorite part of the trial, which was the financial crimes as a motive. And I remember,
the prosecutor should have known better than that too.
That's what I mean. I remember speaking at length about how even if you had the financial crimes and you could make that motive work, you're putting your own conviction at risk. Every time you're going and getting this extraneous information and putting it in front of the jury and possibly prejudicing the jury against the defendant for something that's possibly unrelated, you are placing your conviction at risk. So the real question in this one is, what is the new judge going to do with a lot of this? And then where are we going to have the trial? So
they found a place that has no tainted jurors.
Oh my gosh.
So the trial is going to be held on the moon.
On the moon. And even so, we'll probably have to disqualify about half of them. But today was my first introduction to the new judge who's handling this. Let's see if I can't. Oh, look at that. We're back. See if I can't get the proportions working a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. We're going to see if we can do this. And we're going to meet our new judge. And forgive me, I'm going to have to. The new judge is Judge Deborah McCaslin. So let's get rolling.
Not only in this case, but any lawyer who appears in front of me, I send a copy of my own order. I apologize for that.
Apologize for, but once things crank up, getting it quick.
We need more volume on Poot.
Yeah, he starts slow. He gets a little louder.
Absolutely. Well, I'll make sure that everybody gets a copy. Again, I apologize for that. I usually do send it myself.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Murdaugh.
Okay, we ready to get started then?
Please ready, Your Honor.
All right, well, let me just kind of do a little housekeeping here. Mr. Harpootlian, let me just address kind of what we did last time as far as making arrangements out at the Bureau of Prisons for a conference room where you could take discovery to your client. Have you had any issues with that?
Let me confirm.
None at all.
We have no issues whatsoever. Everyone's been wonderful.
Okay, good. And then I told you that I would check on if there's any kind of download that you could do to the tablet that he has, and there's not. So we're gonna have to stick with the computer from either the law clerk or one of your staff members going out to the BOP.
We are, at this juncture, we have a law clerk, this young man back here, who's going down there, and of course, 2.5 hour drive. Typically, it's 2.5, 3 hours with him, and then 2.5 hour drive back. We understand. We're willing to put up with that.
Okay.
That's not a problem. However, we have retained some experts, and at some point, we're going to need to, and they've done this in the past for us, but we've done some FaceTime meetings with them so they can show Mr. Murdaugh
I'm with you.
drawings and all those sorts of things. So we're going to try to, and I don't think they're going to have a problem with that, but if we arrange for an expert to be available and we're paying them hundreds of dollars an hour, we'd like it to work seamlessly if we can.
Well, if you have any problem, all you have to do is just let me know,
Yes, ma'am.
and we'll try to work around that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll make sure it gets done. All right, if y'all don't mind, I've got how I want to do this hearing today.
Okay, so you got a little first impression. I love this judge so much. This might be one of my new favorites.
I love the, if y'all don't mind, here's how I like to do things. It's like, that is not actually a question, because when the judge says, if you don't mind, here's how I like to do things, the answer is never, I mind, judge, unless it's like, you know, something crazy.
And everyone in the chat, guys, I know the very beginning of this hearing, Poot was standing at counsel's table, nowhere near a microphone, and therefore it was impossible to hear him. It does get better. The judge is good about speaking to the microphone, not to mention this judge's voice. It has nice, resounding, I mean, it carries, and she's not shy about using it. It was very, very interesting. Let's see. So she's got, I think, 6 or 7 motions and a bunch of discovery motions that she wants to go through. And then as she begins it, there's some complaints by Mr. Griffin, who is complaining about the state turning over information and evidence. And we actually learn that apparently there's been reports of a 300 blackout being discovered or recovered that had ballistics that were either similar in kind or matching to those recovered at Alex Murdaugh's property.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's exciting. With this defense team, you don't necessarily know if there's fire where they say smoke.
Yeah.
And Creighton Waters has indicated he's going to track that down. Apparently Sled was in the house. Dick Harpootlian takes every single opportunity to bash Sled to the extent that he possibly can and throw Courthouse Becky under the bus.
I mean, I would be inventing new kinds of bus to throw Courthouse Becky under.
And he does a very good job of trying. Like, he really does.
Like, I mean, if anybody deserves a bus, she deserves a bus.
Oh, yeah. So let's see. 87. I think this is where the mention is.
Harassment, improper procedures. And so that would be information. We don't have subpoena power unless we subpoena them to a hearing. They have control and can request this. We don't have it, and we would like it. And so, Your Honor, that's some Giglio material, some Brady material that we have, think we're entitled to. And as you know, Your Honor, Brady is evidence that is, could be exculpatory. We have learned.
Don't explain that to the judge.
Reporting
She
from
knows.
Fitz News.
I know he does this. He does it with Giglio too, but I don't fault him for that. If you're citing a case, you might as well at least try.
Yeah, just
That there was
You got
a
to be
recent
real
murder.
careful with your I'm explaining things the judge already knows.
Yeah.
Because there are judges, and I mean, I hate to say it, but I will anyway, especially some female judges. And the reason why it's especially some female judges is that they are used to guys talking down to them. And you might
Mansplaining.
just be being a condescending asshole because it's your personality, but you will never convince the judge that it's not because you're a sexist. So you got to be extra careful of, it's extra not a good idea in this circumstance. So,
Yeah.
We believe in Allendale County. And what has come out of that investigation and what has been leaked to the press is that Murdaugh murder weapons were connected to the Allendale County murder. Now, how could that be? And so we would like to know, were Murdaugh murder weapons connected to this Allendale murder? Now, if Your Honor will get into this, you'll learn that the SLED agent ballistic forensic lab did an analysis of just the shell casings on the 300 blackout that was used to murder Maggie Murdaugh. And the ballistics expert testified that the extraction marks on those shell casings found at the murder scene matched extraction marks found on shell casings around the Moselle home and at a shooting range. And their analysis was, in his opinion, it was the same gun that injected the shell casings of the 300 blackout at the house, at the driving range, and at the murder scene.
Yeah, he did. I listened to it like 3 times. Yes, he said injected. I think he intended to say ejected.
yeah, it's just, I'm guessing he doesn't do a whole lot with guns.
Well, you don't necessarily inject casings anywhere.
No, but if he doesn't know guns and sort of heard the term, that's, I think that's probably where that, where that confusion comes in.
Yeah.
Which leads us to, we don't know if it was the same murder weapon in Allendale, but if they did an analysis of the shell casings in the Allendale murder case, and they're saying it matches the shell casings for the Murdaugh murders, either their test is bad or someone's out there using a gun to murder other people. And so we would like that information. And then
I bet you would.
There's generally, we are aware that SLED has received tips, because we've received tips. We've not been provided any information about tips of whether it's reliable or not, identifying anyone else other than Alec Murdaugh participating in the murders. We've not received any information. Have they found the murder weapons? Have they found the murder weapons since the last trial? And there's related information underlying all of those. And so we don't think the state is taking their obligation seriously enough to find out what Brady materials out there has been developed and what Giglio material out there has been developed. And this is what we,
Your Honor, they're
aware of
fucking
today,
around.
but,
Please
we
make
don't
them find
have the
out.
benefit. We don't have the ability to contact law enforcement and get this information. So that.
All right, so I'll give you the TLDR on how this motion goes. The judge kind of says the motion is premature because, first and foremost, it appears that there's a lot of things being said about things that haven't been turned over, but there hasn't been a whole lot of communication about the issue. And the judge is pretty insistent that there's a thing called the telephone, and that you pick it up and you call over and you send emails and you say, I need this, and you give them an opportunity to give it back to you before you go to the court and argue about it. So the judge kind of admonished both parties in counsel to say, hey, give it over. Creighton Waters, at some point in time in the hearing, looks back at SLED. SLED comes back and says there was a 300 blackout. That's the only similarity to anything dealing with Murdaugh, and the ballistics didn't match. So he kind of comes back, and then Dick Harpootlian takes the opportunity to say, well, I don't trust SLED at all, and starts throwing them under the bus, and that's just a pissing match over who can trust who. It's pretty entertaining. But one of the interesting motions that was argued today was a motion over polygraph examination information. And this was the first time I had heard it. I know people who'd followed the trial might have heard it, but, oh, and there's our two favorite main characters, Dick Harpootlian and Creighton Waters. And what's interesting about this is you guys now get to see what these lawyers look like in motions practice. And even though they might be foes at the trial, the collegiality and the cordial nature that they address each other with at motions practice is kind of how a lot of litigation works. You guys see trials and you think the defense hates the prosecution and prosecution hates defense. That's not necessarily the case almost at all. We understand we're on opposite sides of the aisle and we're going to throw shade when we need to, but by and large, we all get along.
I had a client who was getting very upset because me and the prosecutor seemed to be getting along, because, you know, I've known this prosecutor for like 5 years at this point, and we do get along, which is also kind of helpful to the client. But this guy was getting pissed. He's like, "You guys seem like you're friends." So I ended up going up to the Crown prosecutor and was like, "Hey, my client is really like skeezing out because he thinks that we're too friendly. So do you mind if I come in and just be a giant asshole to you for a bit?" And he's like, no, go ahead, man. And so I come in and I'm like, all like, "Well, you know, if you'd done your job." And he's like, "You know, sir," and like, you know, getting like throwing shade back at me. And afterwards I was like, "Sorry." And he's like, no, that was, I haven't had so much fun on this in a while. So he's like, "Do not apologize. That was fun."
The number of times that I play the asshole for no other purpose than I know that his or her client is within earshot, and I'm not necessarily playing the asshole to the attorney, but I want the party to know that I'm serious about something. I had one attorney who didn't really understand that that's what I was doing and took great offense to it. And they came and they said, "Excuse me, you don't have to yell at me like that." I said, "Oh no, we're fine. I was just doing that for the benefit of your client who was standing behind you." And it was, yeah. Like I said, litigation is a lot of theater. But on to the polygraph motion.
She attempted to fix the jury, right?
I think he understands. Let me hear from you, Mr. Moore.
No, hang on. We're going to back up a little bit, because this is when I made the comment of, you know, Dick Harpootlian took every opportunity to throw just absolute shade. This was one of them. Let me see if I can't reduce the volume a little bit, because they adjusted it and they went overboard.
65s and had the return from those individuals.
You did get those?
That's my recollection.
We did, but the question is, who got off that list before we got it?
Okay.
That's the problem. And do we have any
You
evidence?
just want the original list.
I want the
is what you
original
want.
list, and I want you
I understand.
I want you to have the original list. So when the summons go out, you know that everybody was on that summons list was summoned unless you were told they were dead, and again, I'm a little paranoid after our last experience, not realizing the court was trying to fix the jury.
Okay. Well, I will, I'll
I mean, Becky
make
was
sure
kind
I
of
speak
irrelevant to
with
that
the clerk
particular argument.
before
Yeah.
that process.
And Your Honor, certainly Mr. Waters is not vouching for her veracity and truthfulness here today. I understand that we're here because she attempted to fix the jury, right?
I think he understands. Let me hear from you, Mr. Moore.
Well, look,
I
there
think
is
he
no, absolutely
understands
no
why we're
evidence.
here today.
You know, I went through a lot and actually, you know, suggested a lot of these procedures. Ultimately, all we were trying to do, recognizing the uniqueness of this case, and there's no denying it, is get a fair and impartial jury. And,
Right.
and the process that we put in place worked very well. Actually, the person who was handling all that and sending out those juror responses, it was, you know, there was multiple staff involved, and all of that was under the supervision of Judge Newman. So we certainly, you know, understand what the Supreme Court ruled, but, you know, I know Your Honor will supervise whatever process, and my only goal and my only intent is to have the first screening process take place and then give us the jurors that are in play, and then we'll put together a fair process to put 12 in the box.
I agree with you, Mr. Waters. I'll take care of that. You don't
I
need
like
to
his
worry.
style of speaking there too.
Neither one.
Oh yeah, and the judge basically says, "I'm going to get the jury roll and I'll be supervising all of it." This judge is like, "I'm going to put my eyes on every single piece of paper that goes out in this case," and
She's like,
yeah.
this has already been fucked up once. It is not
Yes.
getting fucked again.
Dude, the number of times when she is like, "I will review it myself. If you have a motion or concern that something needs to be reviewed in camera, I will review it in camera." She is not fucking around. Sometimes when judges take the bench and they make the comment that's one of the most commonly told lies in a courtroom of, "I read all of the pleadings and all of your motion and the response before sitting down." I will say that a fair number of judges do that. Some judges, they say that and they absolutely have not done that. Their law clerk might have, and they might have given them like a paragraph about it, but they haven't. This judge says it, and based on how she appeared today, I believe every single word. She knew those motions backwards and forwards.
I know a lawyer who he knew this particular justice never read like pleadings or anything, like at all. And so he intentionally put a page in his pleadings that was like,
No,
it was Dr.
he
Seuss
didn't.
or something like that. And so when the justice was like, "I've read your pleadings," he's like, "And what'd you think?"
It's terrible.
And then
That's
finally,
terrible.
like, was just, because the other thing that justice would do is, you'd be making some argument and the justice wouldn't want to hear it. So they just cut it off with, "Well, I've read your pleadings." And he's like,
I know. And yep, for that. And I teach the associates when I teach them, I say, the judge is going to tell you they've read your pleadings. You then respond kindly and candidly and say, "Your Honor, I understand that you've read the pleadings and I appreciate the court for taking the time to do so. I would never know the court to not take that time. For purposes of making the record in this matter, I'd like to just go through a few bullet points," and then you hit your main points. On the understanding that it's very likely that there's possibility the judge didn't read the pleadings. And if you've got a point that you want to make, you better fucking make it.
yeah. And you have to do it gently for calling them out for not reading it, unless you want to go absolutely nuclear and just be like, "So, what did you think of page 4, Your Honor?"
Yeah, that's not going to end as well as you want it to be.
No, he kind of was intentionally picking a fight that he knew would be a big deal. So,
yeah. Granny Debbie, I'm pulling this up. Everyone hit the like button because I always forget to ask. You guys hit the like button, please. Show everyone that we're back on YouTube. It'd be great. All right, polygraph motion.
One of you. All right, next motion is going to be the state's motion in limine to exclude evidence of the polygraph. Let me hear from you, Mr. Waters.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Any objection to 1.25?
not for me.
I'm probably going to go up to 1.5 because I wanted to give everyone the flavor of what it's like to have a trial in South Carolina because it's one of my favorite sounds ever. But it can be a little slow. We'll go to 1.5 just to because we got to get through a lot.
This was just a prophylactic motion in limine that we filed prior to the first trial. And again, the case law was cited in there. I'm happy to detail it for Your Honor, but obviously the case law was very clear in South Carolina that polygraphs are a no-no, and that's because while they may be an investigative tool, the reliability of them is questionable. And of course, even the U.S. Department of Justice manual notes that it's not a lie detector. What it does is record physical responses that in the subjective opinion of the examiner may indicate deception, but that deception may or may not be related to concerns of guilt or innocence. And that's why the courts have always rejected those, in addition to the fact that they go to the heart of why we have courts and why we have juries. And that's, of course, the ultimate determination of the truth of the matter. And so, obviously,
that's the thing I was going to say is in Canada,
or there's an interview that occurred after polygraph, we are
The truthfulness of the witness.
in Canada, there's a court case that, is the case on polygraphs. And it basically says, okay, there's arguments about whether or not they're accurate. We don't give a shit about whether or not they're accurate, because even if they are perfectly accurate, determining whether or not a witness is deceptive or not is the job of the jury. And so the whole idea of this is to bring scientific evidence into something that isn't, isn't allowable. So we're not going to get into the like scientific arguments about whether it's accurate. From the legal perspective, it's got to go. And it's like, that is a smart way to rule on that one, because
It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
well, and it prevents the arguments later of like, well, we've invented a better lie detector, so now we want to use it. Like, no, it doesn't matter if it's better.
Oh, and Kristen, I was never accusing everyone in South Carolina of talking slow. Creighton Waters is the perfect example of that. That man can fly when he's got a point to make.
Or rock solid to make sure that that witness and that, you know, officer or whatever does not say the P word out loud. And that's just been the general rule. And we, and this is the way I do things, just like we did the financial evidence last time. We laid all our cards on the table, did a long, extensive hearing. There was no gotcha moments or anything like that. And we just asked for the same thing, that there be, you know, just sort of an in-camera ruling and an instruction that the polygraph word is not to be mentioned because, you know, again, it can be hard to unring the bell.
That's right. Let me hear from you, Mr. Harpootlian or Mr. Griffin.
Please, Court, Your Honor.
Sure.
So generally, Mr. Waters is correct. But, and let me point out to the court, and I'll hand up a copy of the case.
Here's the frustration. I need YouTube to create a speed setting where I can change their speed based on who the fuck is talking. Because Creighton Waters, I love the speed, man. But then to contrast that with Dick Harpootlian is painful. It hurts my soul. It's like going, I'm going to make my point as fast as I possibly can. And then you've got just Poot, who's pooting around doing his Poot stuff.
Well, I mean, Poot was at the Court of Appeal in a matter of like life and death, and he spends 20 minutes like in his wind up, and I'm going, what?
Yeah. Of that time, I was like, is the yellow light flashing yet? Because you're about to run out of all of your time and you're spending it on a hyperbole. Like, why don't you use it for argument, please?
I mean, it might be just that he's sufficiently senior that they let him, you know, let him get away with things. That
Magna Carta, yes,
wouldn't.
The Magna Carta did make an appearance at the argument in front of the Supreme Court. It did.
And it's a violation of my usual rule, which is whoever cites the Magna Carta is going to lose.
Well, technically speaking, it was a case he shouldn't and couldn't have lost at the Supreme Court. Like, that case was about as slam dunk as you could have gotten.
Yeah.
It's the Eastwood case? Is that what you said?
I'm sorry?
It's the Eastwood?
It's the Eastwood case.
I've got a copy of it. Go ahead. No, I've got a copy.
So
She's like, I know this case better than you do, but go on.
It said there's not an absolute ban. There are circumstances under which a polygraph could be used. I mean, again, it is not a lie detector, but the question is, if somebody was confronted with the fact that they failed a polygraph, did they give it? I mean, in this case, did they give a confession? The Eastwood case, it was a confession gotten. In this case, and we want to argue this more fully, depending on whether or not this witness is called, Eddie Smith, who, as we've already understood, was charged with a whole bunch of stuff, had a proffer agreement with the state, and the proffer agreement was conditioned on him passing a polygraph. And as Mr. Waters knows, in other words, he had a deal, and the deal was predicated on him passing a polygraph. This is a copy of the results of that polygraph, and the polygraph was, did you kill Paul and Maggie Murdaugh? He failed it. And so they, relying on that.
And that was a fact I didn't know.
Yeah. Although polygraphs are basically a coin toss. So
Yeah, because it measures deceptiveness in the answer. So it could be that but I didn't know that. It
measures autonomic arousal. So it measures.
Careful with the word arousal. Explain what autonomic is before you throw arousal in there first.
Okay, so autonomic arousal will mean like any sort of stress response, anything that gets you. So you'll have that if you go on a roller coaster. You'll have that if you're being chased by a bear. You'll have that if you, suddenly realize that you misjudged a fart. Like, all of these things that might stress you out suddenly, will show up on that.
Now here's the problem, Ian, son of a bitch. Now I need to see what a polygraph looks like when someone misjudges a fart
Midway through the polygraph.
midway through the polygraph. Like in the middle of a question, they misjudged the fart. They had bad Taco Bell. And all of a sudden the person asking the question thinks that they're lying and being deceptive when realistically they need to use the restroom.
If I ever write a courtroom comedy, that will be in there.
That's not bad. That is not bad. I like that. Okay. But yes, it does. It measures that level of stress. So what it really shows is that whatever the question asked and whatever the answer you gave was, your physiological response to that was an anomaly to what it usually is. You were indicating higher stress at the time.
Yeah, although, so the way they do it is they start off by asking you like questions that are neutral questions, like questions that they figure that no one's going to get stressed out by. So they'll start off by asking you questions like, you know, is it Friday? And you're like, yes. Then they, you know, measure, do you have a higher level of stress about, you know, did you kill, you know, Maggie Murdaugh, to is it Friday? And, you know, it's like, if you have a higher level of stress, then you're probably lying. And it's like, the kind of assumption is that everybody is a bit of a neural cabbage who just is unable to understand that, like, did you commit a murder is a more serious thing than what is the day of the week. And so, like, the fundamental assumptions underpinning the lie detector are also kind of shit. So it is a rant.
Well, it's interesting. Now I know people that use them in investigations all the time, but I just don't find that there's a really good reason to, because you're not gonna be able to use it anyways.
Well, and often if you take one and it's for an investigation, they'll tell you that you lost even if you didn't, like that you failed it, because the purpose, they don't really care if you pass or fail because they don't believe in it either. But they want to see if you'll confess if you're told that you failed. So
that's not bad.
Sometimes they'll tell people that they failed when in fact they didn't.
Okay.
Canceled his proffer agreement. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that's admissible on cross, but I am saying that it's an issue, not now, but much closer to trial, that we need to be able to litigate. And there may be others. We're going back through, I will tell you, Mr. Murdaugh passed a polygraph, flying colors. So the same polygrapher. So it may play a role in this trial. I'm not willing to concede that not under any circumstances can a polygraph ever be used. I'm just giving you this example of Eddie Smith failing the polygraph and them relying on it to cancel his deal. Now, that's what our understanding is from the limited documents. They never called Eddie Smith in the first trial, which we were shocked by. But should they call him in the second trial, we may want to go into this. But so I would ask you not to issue an order prohibiting any mention of polygraph with this guarantee. We would not mention polygraph in a courtroom with a jury until given permission by Your Honor to do so.
All right, well, let me tell you, anything else from the, Mr. Waters?
Well, Your Honor, just to correct one thing, there's a sort of deal with Eddie Smith. The proffer is not a deal. It says in big bold letters, this is not a arbitration agreement. It's only, essentially a first aid provision. Again, polygraphs can be an investigative tool, but they are never, I never base decisions on them. And frankly, in my experience, I found them to be wrong or indicate DI for other emotional reasons than they're not ever relied upon in court. The case that they saw a different issue where in that particular instance, the defendant wanted the fact that he had been given a polygraph and was told by the he was lying as part of his defense in presenting an expert on, and that is nothing that we have in this particular case whatsoever. And in fact, if you look at the...
All right, YouTube's being funky. Stop being funky. Be normal.
that we cite in the memo, Your Honor, a prime example of what the Supreme Court has There was one situation, and give me 1 second, I'll find the case. That would be State v. Counsel, which is the seminal case on that. And in that particular case, there was a witness who took a polygraph on, were you present, were you involved, and DI was shown, deception indicated was shown, that because a polygraph cannot reliably show truth, no assisting to the jury because it doesn't show anything. So that's a vastly different situation, more akin to what.
Yeah. So I'll give you the snapshot of it. The judge, it gives the most obvious ruling ever, which is no one shall mention the word polygraph without first seeking leave of court to do so.
That's
kind
fair.
of the ruling that you would expect in any setting, like thou shalt not state polygraph or say the word polygraph before you come up here. It is per se inadmissible until you come up here and tell me why it should be. But the real thing was I wasn't aware of Eddie failing the polygraph. And if that's the case, then I think that would probably suggest a little bit as to why Eddie Smith was not called as a witness in the first time, because the prosecution didn't want to even open that door. Not to mention Eddie Smith was a known liar, would have been a terrible witness, and could have been impeached 9 ways from, you couldn't even count. But so that's how that motion goes. And then I did see a question that I did want to pull up. Music to my soul asking, why is Alec Murdaugh in a suit pretrial when he's in custody? Because the judge has ordered that he be in that he dress out for every hearing in this case. And I think that is in large part in recognition that he is shown on TV. He will be on TV in every hearing of this case.
Yeah.
So if you are talking about a potential jury pool that at present, because they have not ruled on the motion to transfer venue, if you're talking about a potential jury pool that is the entire state of South Carolina, you as the judge are going to take every measurable precaution to make sure that no prejudicial effect happens from, someone that's at home that sees on the screen that dude in a suit in a courtroom versus a guy in an orange jumpsuit in a courtroom.
Yeah, as much as jurors say they can put the orange jumpsuit out of their head, they can't.
No, they can't. It's not possible. So then we get to see our one of our favorite lawyers, Mr. Barber, argue something. So one of the next motions up is the Commonwealth, or rather South Carolina, wants to use Alec Murdaugh's prior testimony. Go figure.
I wonder why.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think I should.
Is it because Murdaugh did such a great job?
Oh, he was phenomenal. He definitely didn't secure his own conviction at all by testifying.
I mean, he
Paul.
definitely moved the needle on, on the result of this one.
Yeah, that was something else. Probably one of the most interesting bits of testimony by, what was the other one? The one in Georgia, the guy that killed where they didn't have the body and they killed his wife and he testified.
The au pair killing?
Yeah, was it the au pair affair?
Yeah, that one. And I was real pleased when, that was Judge A, isn't it? Who,
oh yeah, Banfield testified too, but there's the other one in Georgia where the guy testified and there was no body present for that one. Remember that one where he made the body disappear?
no, I'm trying to remember now.
Oh, Casotis, Nicholas Casotis.
Right.
He was the guy that he pretended to be like a super secret spy.
Yes.
That was a great one. Man, between Casotis and Banfield and Murdaugh, I don't know which one of them did a worse job for themselves.
I mean, Banfield was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was not credible. Casotis was terrible too.
Yes.
I agree with you. I wanted you to know there are circumstances, and that's one where we may seek to do that. To do it without getting your approval, and
perfect.
it may come up in the context of his testimony.
You never know what happens at trial.
Right.
I'm just telling you, right now, I'm telling you, a polygraph is not admissible. If you're going to bring You need to let me know first, and then we'll have an hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Waters?
None at all, Your Honor.
All right, then. Motion. The next is the state's motion to allow the state's use of the defendant's testimony in retrial.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to try opening this in a different tab and see if I can't make the skipping stop. Because it's driving me insane.
I hope they don't do all the nicknames. I saw somebody in chat mentioning the Mags and Pawpaw stuff. And I was like, God, I hope they don't do that again in the retrial.
that might have been one of the most cringe moments. And then he went full in on it too, called him Pawpaw every single time. And if you were a juror that had an inkling that he might have killed his son at that point, the whole naming him in that fashion ain't going to win you any brownie points.
No.
It was all risk, no reward. So let's do this. Let me switch to this tab and see if I can't boost the volume here. Maybe this will help us with the lag.
To the timeline just moments before they died. And so he ultimately, with the full waiver with Judge Newman, said, I'm going to testify and I want to testify. And of course, right out of the gate, the first series of questions asked by Mr. Griffin on direct examination was an explanation of why did you lie about being down at the kennels. It was the most important issue in the case at that point. Obviously, as a general rule, under Harrison, a defendant's testimony at a former trial is admissible, and I'll get to the statute in a second. And then I'll also, of course, under Rule 804A1, it would be admissible, of course, based on unavailability, assuming that he would refuse to or exercise his Fifth Amendment right at a second trial. The issue, of course, boils down to the statute. And of course, the statute says that the testimony of a defendant in a criminal case shall not be afterwards used against the defendant in any other criminal case except upon an indictment for perjury. And of course, our position in that is that this is the same criminal case. This is not an other criminal case. It's the same indictment. It's the same allegations. It's the same case that we are doing. There's no question that we are starting the evidentiary presentation again from new, but that doesn't change the fact in the plain language of the statute that this is the same criminal case. And we cite
That's the critical distinction for the statute. Either you're in the same case or you're not.
I agree, and we cite Tucker for that proposition. Now, I do agree that Tucker's a little different. It was a death penalty bifurcated case, and that the guilt phase was affirmed and the sentencing phase was reversed. But the court clearly said there that during the resentencing phase, that prior testimony was admissible because it was the same case. Now, the defense obviously argues that because of the Supreme Court's guidance on the financial issues, that ultimately his decision to testify is somehow impelled by that, and we would respond to that in two ways. Number one is the first thing is very clear that the most important reason for him, quote, I want to testify, is that he had to explain that kennel video, which again was the most important issue for the defendant to testify. Secondly, as we look at the opinion, and obviously I know you've deferred on the motive evidence, and we'll get to that at a later time, of course. But the Supreme Court, while saying that perhaps the trial court let the state go too far with that evidence, the court did say that the court appropriately ruled the evidence admissible under 404 and did appropriately admit at least some of that evidence. So ultimately, depending on how Your Honor rules on that motive evidence, admission of any prior testimony, should the state decide to do so, could be very much tailored to whatever the appropriate parameters are based on this court's ruling as to the extent of that testimony.
Right, I think it would go along with what financial crimes are allowed in at the time.
Get an idea of where she's leaning on this?
Yep.
This is probably the most telegraphing this judge has been, like, at all. She was just immediately saying, that's the distinction, the statute, isn't it? I'm like, whoa, okay. If you're arguing this for the defense, good luck.
Yeah, you're like, ah, shit.
Yeah, yeah.
On the trial.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the state certainly understands that and is willing to do that. And then even aside from that issue, clearly, whether it's impeachment of this defendant should he testify again, or if the defense were to present a new theory through evidence that would be refuted by this testimony, I think that the law is very clear that then it could be used for impeachment to sort of, if they change tack, then it would be fair game, regardless of the issue of the statute.
Okay. Who's going to argue that?
Mr. Barber will address.
Mr. Barber, come join us.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good
My
morning.
favorite lawyer of the group.
Of course, we oppose this motion on two grounds, a statutory ground and a constitutional ground. And I would like to address the statutory one first on the generally accepted principle that if a constitutional issue could be avoided, that you should rest on statutory grounds. And the statute here is 1911-50, which, as Mr. Waters said, prohibits using his testimony in another criminal case. And so we're concerned on what is the same case versus another case. At 10:23 a.m. in this hearing, Mr. Waters, standing at this podium, said, quote, "This is a new case." That was his statement on behalf of the state. On a different motion, he said, quote, "This is a new case." Now, for the purposes of this motion, it becomes, again, the same case. The defense's position is that a trial de novo
I don't hate that.
is another case, that is the logical.
No, I liked it. I actually thought this argument was pretty good. Now, realistically speaking, does anyone really think a retrial is an entirely different case?
I mean, I see the argument. I
do.
I'm not sure I'd rule against them, to be honest.
He sounded very confident. And I was listening and just going, hadn't really thought about that. Kind of like the argument.
Rational conclusion from the statute that the purpose of the statute is to protect the ability of a defendant to testify in one criminal case without a broad, irrevocable waiver of his Fifth Amendment rights. The state, as far as I can tell, takes the position that the indictment number controls whether this is another case or not. Not anything substantive happening in a case. And I would point out that there's not a single case in which, with a trial de novo, because of an error by a state actor, not the prosecution, but certainly a state actor, that constitutes irrevocable waiver of the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. You know, Tucker is the closest case. As Mr. Waters conceded, it's not really applicable. It's a resentencing on the same conviction. Here we're having a trial de novo, and everything is new. As the court just went through with all those other motions, it's a new case. Even the protective order has to be redone. Everything is new. All the motions in limine have to be redone. The one thing that is eternal and cannot be changed from the previous trial is one witness's decision to testify. That Fifth Amendment waiver is the only thing, according to the state, that's not waived. For purposes of the statute, we suddenly become the same. And before getting to the constitutional infirmity of that, as Your Honor knows, we filed a motion to dismiss the indictment shortly after this motion. It was responsive to this motion. If the state, it's a reductio ad absurdum argument. If we're really going to take the position that it's not a substantive question whether this is the same case or a different trial, well, if it's the indictment numbers under thrift, we clearly meet the standard under thrift for dismissal of the indictment. Now, is that a waste of the court's time? I would say yes, because they'll just go to a grand jury and re-indict it. You know, but if we're going to put substantive import on the indictment numbers, the arbitrary indictment numbers, well, the grand jury, we have testimony from the first trial that the grand jury was presented evidence that the state admitted in its reply closing argument was incompetent, which the witness also admitted was incompetent. We have, if you look at that very lengthy motion for sanctions that's still pending, it's a colorable claim of misconduct. I would point out in thrift, the Supreme Court explicitly held there was no misconduct, but because there was a colorable case for it, which is the least possible burden, well, fabricated evidence is a colorable claim of misconduct. Okay, is it prejudicial? Well, it would be the only direct evidence linking the accused to the crime, the only direct forensic evidence, something that would prove his guilt that must be prejudicial. So we meet the thrift requirements. The indictment should be dismissed. They should have to go back and re-indict it. We'll get a different indictment number and be right back here with a different case if that's really their position, that a trial de novo is not another case. And this is just a statutory argument. There is, of course, a constitutional argument, which is the Harrison argument, which is that because he was testifying to address evidence that was ruled to be inadmissible, that his Fifth Amendment waiver cannot be held in this new trial. I mean, that's the clear holding of Harrison. It clearly, in Simmons as well, which was a suppression hearing. That in that case, someone testified in a suppression hearing, and electing to assert that Fourth Amendment right in a suppression hearing, you're not required to waive other constitutional rights. The case law clearly holds, and Your Honor indicated that you've done a lot of research on this, that a witness cannot be required to surrender his constitutional rights to address inadmissible evidence. And I think Mr. Waters agrees with that, and that the dispute is whether or not he was testifying to address the financial crimes evidence. But as our response motion, with many quotes and block quotes, that was explicitly preserved. In Harrison, it was just an inference. In this case, counsel repeatedly put on the record why he was testifying. On page 3 of our response, Mr. Harpootlian said at that time, quite explicitly, put on the record that our advice as to whether to take a stand or not would have been different had the financial crimes information that he was also renewing the objection to had not been admitted over objection. And the court held in response to that the objection was preserved. So here we are. Harrison directly prohibits this, though I would suggest to Your Honor that the statute would be an easier ruling because there's no reason to reach a constitutional question. This is another case which we just said a dozen times when discussing previous motions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any response, Mr. Waters?
Very briefly, Your Honor.
So you've heard the parties lay out their respective positions. Where's your head right now?
I mean, I'm a defense lawyer. I'm inclined to say, look, it was prejudicial that they brought this in, and so we're just magnifying the prejudice if we don't, exclude this on the second time. So I would be inclined to say keep it out.
Okay, what do you want to wager?
I'm going to wager she doesn't.
If you were a betting man, what would your wager be?
Evidence goes in.
Yeah. And I do
because
believe
as much
that,
as I'm a criminal defense lawyer, that doesn't mean the world is very favorable to criminal defense lawyers.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, and now there's an interesting nuance to the admissibility of this particular evidence, because obviously it would be subject to a renewed motion at that point in time, to the extent that they do try to use it to impeach him. I imagine that they would be able to argue it again at that juncture. But at least for right now, I don't know that she would exclude it, period. And the prosecution has to be able to design their case with some expectation they might be able to point to it. Not waiting until the day of trial to decide whether or not they're going to be able to use something like this. It makes it important to put it out in front and get the judge ruling on it early.
Yeah.
That what they introduced did not compel his testimony, and simply saying that we perhaps could have introduced something is not sufficient to meet that burden.
Okay. All right. Well, I've read the case law. I've read the statute in this case, and I think it's pretty clear. A criminal defendant's testimony from a first trial is admissible at a retrial in the same case, and that is from 1911-50. The testimony of a defendant in a criminal case shall not afterwards be used against the defendant in any other criminal case. That is, our Supreme Court interpreted 1911-50 narrowly, and it limited its protection to the use in a different criminal case, not the same case. So I believe that his testimony may come in under 804. I've got B1 or A1, I think it's B1, or for impeachment purposes. The court does not find the defendant's argument prevailing. I think you rely heavily on Harrison versus U.S., where the defendant was forced to testify as a result of the prosecution using illegally obtained confessions by the defendant. Here, the defense argues that the evidentiary decision of the trial judge to allow evidence of the financial crimes coerced the defendant into testifying. However, I went and looked at the ruling again from our Supreme Court. The court ruled that the evidence of the financial crimes in this case is admissible in the new trial, so long as it is probative to the murders. Accordingly, this is inherently different as an evidentiary issue versus illegal conduct. Now, with all that said, I don't know, Mr. Harpootlian or Mr. Barber, what the state intends to introduce as in their case in chief. I don't know what financial crimes are going to be allowed in and what's not going to be allowed in. If it's not allowed in, certainly that testimony related to it. It's all subject to rules of evidence. If it's not relevant, it's not in your case in chief, then that prior testimony is not coming in. Obviously, I think you agree with that.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do think, when you testify in a case, there's consequences. Testifying and not testifying, there's consequences. You don't get to tell your story, but then you're also at the peril of cross-examination, and it's sworn testimony. So I'm going to allow it in, subject to what is being testified to in the trial. Okay?
Your Honor, for the record, we would respectfully
Disagree?
disagree. Are you going to issue a formal written order, or is that your ruling?
That was going to be my ruling.
Fine. And of course, we would renew it when it becomes relevant, but I just want to make sure we're not perceived to have waived an objection to that.
Sure, I'm not going to let you waive any objections. You can take objections to all my rulings at the end if you'd like, and we'll put it on. It'll be on the record. We'll revisit it again at trial.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I think that's the other important thing is Creighton Waters is leaving that door open for himself. I think, as with the financial crimes, this is one particular issue where if I'm Mr. Waters, I am very heavily weighing how much, if at all, I need Alex Murdaugh's testimony. Because if you are going to say, hold my beer on an issue that the Court of Appeals might disagree on, this might be a real big one. And
then
I
you
don't
end
know
up with
that,
another case, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
good.
and I don't know that I would roll the dice on this. I certainly wouldn't try to put it in my case in chief. I would wait and see what the defense did. And then what I might do is if the defense puts on a case in chief that doesn't call Alex Murdaugh, then I might use it as rebuttal to try to refute something in their case. But I don't know that I would go ham and basically take a snippet of his testimony in trial one, because I also think that there's some possible prejudicial effect to the jury knowing that there was a prior trial.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, what are they going to do? Just like, oh, you're allowed to, present his prior testimony, but you're
On a
not
witness
allowed to
stand.
explain what
Yeah.
it's about. And
Exactly.
it's like, so we're just assuming that the jury are, unconscious? Like,
If you're going to do this, you better be real fucking careful. Like real careful.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And-
got real potential to end up, backfiring with yet another, pellet matter. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
good.
And last thing you want is to be kicked back down for a third trial.
Well, eventually the taxpayer is going to be like, no, stop it.
Well, speaking of the taxpayer, the last motion that we're going to talk about today, or this evening rather, is the motion to transfer venue. So they had a very curious motion over the DNA evidence, and the defense won it. The DNA evidence, the court is, the defense was asking in review of some of this DNA evidence, the defense was saying, hey, we want to use the same lab that tested the DNA in Koberger. And we want them to do a testing of the entirety of the surface, not just the little piecemeal that they got from one part of the fingernail. And the judge is very curious as to, and she makes a couple of observations about, very rarely do you ever see the defendant requesting to do a DNA analysis. Yeah. I was like, that's odd too. Yeah, it's not really that you oftentimes see that. But the second the defense asked to do it, what do you think the prosecution did? Like, well, we want to do it first. And the defense is making the argument of twofold. One, SLED did it before and they fucked it up, so please don't let them do it. And then two, they sat on this for so long, and it wasn't until we made the request that they raised the issue. You've got to give us the first bite at the apple. And they win on that argument. And the judge says, I'm going to let the defense do it. And the defense obviously is going to have to share the results of the DNA testing.
Which could be risky.
Which is kind of risky. And they have to, well, it's not the results. They have to share the DNA test. Yeah, there's the results. Interpretation of that, they don't have to share, or how they would use it, they don't have to share unless they intend to use it at trial, but they do have to share the results. But the defense gets to do it. And I thought that was one where I don't think the judge was going to rule that way originally. And I think the more the defense was arguing the issue about how they had all of this time and they screwed it up once already, and we have this lab lined up and they're going to do it, the judge found their argument persuasive. So the judge was like, I'm going to let you do it. Yeah. It's pretty cool to see. The last one is the motion to transfer venue, which, does anyone in this world think that Alex Murdaugh can get a fair trial in Colleton County?
No, but I don't think he's going to get a fair trial on, anywhere short of like traveling back in time or going to the moon or, short of like the science fiction options, he's fucked.
Yeah. And so part of it is, are we doing what level of exercise are we going to go through to try and find an appropriate jurisdiction to have this trial? Because it has to be in South Carolina, because it's a state court case. But we're going to do it. So that's the last motion for the day. And it was one that I found to be one of the more enjoyable because it made me laugh a couple of times as to the arguments they were making. And I apologize, but Dick Poot is the one that argues this particular motion.
I love how we have to apologize for the fact that Dick Poot exists.
Remind you of my age. Thank you, Honor.
I regret to inform you, Dick Poot.
Yes. Well, what's funny about it is the judge was ready to steamroll through. Like, I like this judge because this judge does not fuck around. She is like, boom, 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 motion, motion, motion. And she makes her rulings quick. She doesn't belabor herself and like, I'm going to take time and quibble and quabble over what I'm going to decide. She actually
issues rulings. Like,
yeah.
If we remember Bev and her non-rulings, it's so refreshing.
Yeah, and she has the confidence to make the ruling right there. Like, she takes certain matters under advisement, but only when she really needs to. If she knows what she's going to do, she does it. I so much prefer a judge like that. And I like judges who, like I said, with the DNA evidence, you can tell they might be leaning one way, but at the end of your argument, they're willing to consider both sides. I think she has shown a remarkable judicial temperament so far, and I also love her demeanor and her courtroom demeanor. So prior to this, Dick Poot asks the judge, because they've been steamrolling these the motions and all arguing. And Dick says, "Your Honor, are we going to take a recess at any point in time for the restroom?" And the judge says, "You know what? You are exactly right. We've been going for like 2.5 hours. Why don't we all take a 15-minute recess?" And that's when he comes back and says, "I remind you of my age," and starts joking about it.
I remind you of my age.
And how old is that now, Mr. Harbillion?
Really? On the record?
You're not underage. You're not underage.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Do I have, no, do I have everybody?
Told you, I like this judge so far. I really do.
Yeah, and I mean that was a funny joke from Poot too. So
Yeah. And then
give him props
just,
for having a sense of humor there.
yeah. Do I really, Your Honor, on the record?
Oh, I love that. That was like, that's just
Yeah.
charming.
It's pretty good.
Okay. Mr. Waters, you got everybody at your table?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, then let's proceed with the defense's motion to transfer venue, please.
Your Honor, let me at the outset, and we attempted
Hey,
to try
Scott.
to negotiate
Been a
something,
minute.
Mr. Waters, which has not been successful. But
He's being
the
cheeky.
only person in this courtroom that has a constitutional Sixth Amendment right to a fair trial is sitting right there. Now, the state has some due process concerns. If we wanted to try it somewhere that was totally, for instance, inaccessible, we wanted to go to Oconee County.
I'm gonna be there next week.
So hopefully you'll get back. But
She's like, it's not
I'd
that
love-
inaccessible.
Dude, it's kind of funny when judges get tired, they become one of two things. One, incredibly irritable, which, oh God, that's scary. There's a judge that has a saying of that it's one of my favorite judges to be in front of. And his big thing is, don't ever say, with all due respect when you're disagreeing with me, because at some point in time, if I haven't eaten and I'm tired, I might actually look back at you and say, and how much respect do you think I am due, Mr. Morton? And I'm like, point taken, Your Honor. But some judges get really cranky. Some judges get punchy. I think it's pretty cool. I like this judge a lot.
There was a judge that
we
around
understand they
11:30,
don't have beyond
like
Sorry, go.
you could tell when the judge needed lunch because she'd start getting like vicious.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment where it was 11:45 and I was on the docket for a guilty plea. And she's like, "Mr. Runkle," and I'm like, "Your Honor, this one might take a little moment. Perhaps we could break for lunch." And she's like, "You just want me to have lunch first before I sentence your client." I'm like, "You're not wrong, Your
Yeah,
Honor."
I kinda
do. She's like, "All right, I take your point. We'll come back after lunch." And I was like, "Holy shit, she's reasonable about this. She understands."
Yeah, and it's kind of the worst because Fairfax County does their motions days, domestic motions are at 11:30. So they hear criminal motions at 9, they hear civil motions at 10, and then they hear domestic relations motions at 11:30. So the judge has been through the criminal docket, they've been through the civil docket, and then they get to the really fun stuff, the domestic cases at 11:30 right before lunch. So we get the shit end of this. Like, we are fucked. We go in and we get cranky judges, like real mad, because the 10 o'clock docket never ends on time. So you get spicy judges. And then the worst the next worst is that you get Loudoun County, which doesn't begin their domestic motions until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So then and it's on a Friday. So on a Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, how many judges do you think want to be there?
-1.
Yes, it is negative judges. It is negative judges that want to actually be presiding over any of y'all's bullshit, which means if you have a discovery motion, they will simply just say, go in the hallway and resolve it, or I'm not hearing it. Like, just, I'm not hearing it. Like, but judge, you can't really do that. I just did. Go fix it. You're like, fine. Damn it. Yeah. God, I love my job. I love my job so much. It's so much fun.
Lawyering can be stressful at times, but also at times it can be really really fun. I've got a pro bono file I'm likely to be taking on that is about to be really fun because landlord tenant with a lawyer as the landlord. And that's always fun because the law in Alberta requires that security deposits be put in trust. And at the point when landlords landlords realize that, because it's like, hey, this is a trust issue, right? They're like, oh shit. So for the people in the chat who don't understand the significance of this, the most common way for lawyers to get disbarred is fucking around with trust money. Trust money is sacred.
Because you have a fiduciary obligation to protect it. You can't use it.
The fact that they make this a trust requirement is intended to be just a tenant protection, but holy crap, if you're a lawyer who rents to people, you got to take that shit real seriously.
That due process right, any pick, if you will, they're not entitled to the venire they would like to have. The venire we have to have is the venire that's the fairest to him. The venire we have to have is the one that's more likely to either have not formed an opinion, or if they have formed an opinion, it's such that they could disregard it and base their verdict on what you tell them and what comes out of that witness stand. That's black letter constitutional law for the last 200 years. Now, this is a complicated situation because the media coverage of this has been, in my experience, unprecedented for a number of reasons that go beyond just the fact of the notoriety of the case. I tried a death penalty case in Newberry County 25 years ago, covered gavel to gavel by Court TV, watched all over the country. There's no social media, there's no internet, there was no, we actually had newspapers where people got their news. And
social media wasn't invented then.
Wasn't even invented yet. We had three networks, three television stations. And it got some notoriety. It was a pretty famous case. The son of the Episcopal Bishop of the state was charged with murdering his wife, who was the daughter of a state senator. Got a lot of coverage. And Henry Floyd heard the case and had a jury from...
Bro, we are off on a Rob level tangent here. Like that, he started with a transfer venue, and now we're story time.
Well, and if you are surprised to hear that he was litigating cases before social media, he was probably litigating cases before bread.
Yeah, I think they etched some of the
sliced bread, just bread.
Well, I think they etched some of the transcripts of his rulings and some of his cases on stone and carried them down from mountains, and they were like, "Hey, this is the ruling."
It's one of the different documents. The Rosetta Stone is a transcript of a Dick Boot hearing.
Oconee County seated. We didn't even have it. I mean, because of everybody in the county knew one or the other. So I've been through this process before, but no, I mean, the most notice I got was I get a call from somebody from Arizona who watched it, and I got back to the office telling me what I'd screwed up that day. But nothing like what we've seen in this case. Wall-to-wall coverage, internationally, nationally, and the state. When you start talking about, and they talk about media markets, it's irrelevant. Whether you're in Greenville or Charleston or Beaufort, it didn't matter. It permeated everybody's consciousness. 10 million people watch this, and if they didn't watch it live, they watch it on YouTube or Court TV that night, or with the feed on their phones. I mean, it just permeated everything. So what's the solution? Well, first of all, I don't believe the state is arguing we should go to the 14th
potential
circuit
jurors.
to try to pick a jury. And we have enclosed a copy of an order issued by Judge Kelly, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, in a civil case where the defendants in that case, with a lot more resources than us, developed all kinds of factual bases as to why that case, which is related to the boat death case, the Parker case, should not be tried in the 14th Circuit. And he moved it to Spartanburg. And we would ask the court to allow us to introduce all the exhibits relied on by Judge Kelly in that matter into this matter, so that Your Honor will have the ability to review all those. We'll get them and get them to you if necessary. There are statistical studies. Judge Kelly's order is a work of art.
I read it yesterday.
And like you, I think you probably would agree with me. Well-reasoned, factual basis is extraordinary. And that's a civil case where,
right,
there is no Sixth Amendment right on either side. So I would say, and I don't believe anybody's going to seriously argue that we go to Colleton County or even Beaufort County and try to pick a jury and waste our time down there. That's number one. So where do we go? Now, we suggested Charleston. And why did we suggest Charleston? A whole number of factors. One is it would be convenient to the 30 or so or more witnesses from Colleton County that will be testifying in this case. They won't have to travel, go somewhere, spend overnight, or travel 4 or 5 hours in a car one way and back. That's number one, convenience of witnesses. Two, The jury pool in Charleston is larger than the entire jury pool for the 14th Circuit. More people. And why is that important? Because once we got through the questioning of the hundreds of jurors that were brought into Colleton County, only 14% remained. 86% went away. And so if you're going to have to bring, again, being as old as I am, I've been through this exhaustive process before in a case I tried in 1983, a death penalty case. We went through 400 jurors to get 12 in a death penalty case. Took 4 weeks to get the jury. So this will be complicated and we're going to, closer to trial, ask for extensive, we would ask for attorney-conducted voir dire, but we would concede that's not allowed by the statute. But we're going to ask you to conduct individual voir dire of each and every juror with some very specific questions and allow us to approach you if we think there's additional questions needed. But everyone's going to know of this case, and everyone is going to perhaps have a preliminary opinion. The question is, can they put that aside and base their verdict on what you tell them what they hear from the witness stand? So the second reason for Charleston is not only is it convenient, they've got a courthouse with 16 courtrooms in it. It's not going to shut down the county judicial system to try that case there. They did the Slager case there. Court operated normally, nationally covered case. Courtroom was packed every day, and it got a lot of attention. And right across the street, they tried Dillon Roof for 3 or 4 weeks. Didn't shut down the city. Now, to that suggestion, the Attorney General
hate that argument.
a number of other counties. But before I get to that, I'd like to address, and they have handed us an affidavit this morning, which
I didn't say I was admitting anything else.
you're not putting this in.
I didn't say I was admitting it. I said you that as a courtesy.
What are you going to do with it?
We need to hear what you do.
I'm going to say this is wrong. You're going to put it in.
I'm waiting to see what you do.
Okay, well, I'm going to offer it.
Okay,
Well,
sure, I don't,
object at this point. As a courtesy, I gave him an affidavit of our investigator that I potentially was going to admit, depending on their evidentiary presentation, and did that as a courtesy. Now he's going to put that in. If we're going to do that, that's fine. Let's go ahead and admit the real affidavit. But I just think that's
What's in the real affidavit?
no. There's a signed notarized one. I just
Oh,
gave that to
do
you as a
tell.
courtesy
I'll put that in for you.
because I don't play ambush.
You gave it.
okay,
Ooh. That was spicy.
Yeah, it was. Oh, if you guys didn't catch that, that made, oh, yeah.
That
you can tell
that
look at
that
the,
made me stand up and take some notes.
look at the people in the gallery. Look at the gallery. Oh, so Poot gets a possible affidavit that they might use as evidence, and Poot immediately tries to introduce it as his own exhibit. And Creighton is like, "What the hell are you trying to do? No. I was possibly going to use this, not necessarily that I was." And then Poot tries to turn it back on him and say, "What? It's not real? You're not going to swear to this? This isn't the case?" And then Creighton's just like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to introduce it myself. It's going to go in as my damn exhibit because I don't play dirty shit." All right, hang on.
I
People
feel
are
like
asking.
these guys are not on each other's Christmas card list right now.
No, I think that there's a whole lot of collegiality that exists in this courtroom. I don't think Creighton Waters and Dick Harpootlian are two of the people that really do get along. Hang on, people are asking in the chat if we can rewind a little bit. I will gladly do that so that people can catch that whole exchange. Because first of all, you are not supposed to directly address your opposing counsel. You're supposed to direct everything through the court. If you are going to direct opposing counsel or address them directly, you're supposed to ask the court permission. Your Honor, may I confer with my colleague here for a moment?
And I mean, usually you can get away with it if it's fairly like without needing to ask. If it's something pretty basic, like, you know, when I just show the other lawyer, like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to tender this document," like, you already know what it is. Like, it's, you know, and it's sort of uncontroversial. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, no problem." But if I start doing it with something that is, you know, if we start having a discussion on the record, they're like, "No."
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
All right, so this is back to when Poot starts to try to offer it.
At this point, as a courtesy, I gave him an affidavit of our investigator that I potentially was going to admit, depending on their evidentiary presentation, and did that as a courtesy. Now he's going to put that in. If we're going to do that, that's fine. Let's go ahead and admit the real affidavit. But I just think that's.
Well, this isn't the real affidavit?
No, there's a signed notarized one. I just
Oh,
gave that to you as a courtesy
Good, I'll put that in for you.
because I don't play ambush.
You gave it.
Okay, well, one of y'all needs to put it in. You could wait for Mr. Waters to put it in, or Mr. Harpootlian.
All right, we would offer this as State's Exhibit 1 for
You're not
purposes.
here. You're not here.
The judge is now laughing at this point.
Probably out of turn, but go ahead. Mr. Harpootlian, it really doesn't matter who puts it in. It's in evidence as a.
He's like,
I
you
would
fucking
assume,
children.
Court's exhibit number 1. Is that State's exhibit number 1? You want it to be an exhibit or a court's exhibit?
We'll make it a joint. We'll put it in as a state's exhibit in support of our response. Again, Your Honor, I gave him a courtesy because.
And he just jumped the gun on you. Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Waters?
And I told him I didn't know if I was putting it in or not, but as a courtesy, I was going to go ahead and give that to him, so I wouldn't be handing it to him right in the middle of the hearing.
And then you're not getting any more courtesies.
But I was waiting to see what.
That's what that's about.
Presentation they made before.
Yep.
Deciding.
Mr. Harpootlian, he doesn't want you
Like,
putting
I gave him a courtesy and he
exhibits.
bit me in the, bit me on it. So
Well, it's
Fuck
great.
him.
Did you hear the judge come in, Mr. Harpootlian? He doesn't want you putting in his exhibits. Just
oh, I love this judge.
Oh, I do too. This is great because the judge is finding humor in this and is like, "Come on, children, shut up. It's an exhibit. It's in. I got it." Yes.
Yeah, what do you got to put it in? So
exactly. This is the exact mentality of what's going on in this courtroom. Polite one. It's mine. No, it's mine. Yes. Exactly.
and the
then
judge is like,
goes,
I will pull this courtroom over.
Yeah. Yeah. She's probably like, we are so close. Let's just get done.
I jumped the gun and put in State's exhibit number 1 for you. So could you?
You get to see it,
Yeah, I'd like to see a copy of what it is y'all are arguing over.
as long as you're looking at it. Okay,
Thank you.
And I can summarize, it's the same argument he makes in his brief, that Charleston is too expensive. Although he didn't get an affidavit saying it floods, that he did put that in his response. So, as to the flooding issue, we checked. Nobody can tell us the court down there, other than during a hurricane, has been suspended in any way because of flooding. And of course, I'm sure the state will take judicial note, or you should take judicial notice, that galoshes, or wellies, if you will, can be placed on your feet to get you through any sort of sodden street in Charleston to get to the courthouse. So I don't think that's a serious objection, although they made it. The
He's
main
like,
objection they have is,
Your Honor, I'm asking you to take notice of the fact that boots exist.
Yes, exactly. And this is part and parcel to why I saved this. And I was like, this motion, thank God it was the last one, because it got me. I was laughing. I was like, what, are we really fucking arguing over this? Like, what are we really arguing over this?
I just love Your Honor, boots exist. Fuck this guy.
Kind of.
So I'd like to call witness, please.
Sure.
Bill Barber to the stand, please.
You want us to swear in Mr. Barber, the lawyer, on your side?
He probably would tell the truth anyway, but that's probably the safe process.
Wait, what the fuck?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. We are getting Barber on the stand as a witness on the venue issue. That is exactly
Why?
what's happening. Oh, this is just great. It's all just wonderful. I love it. Every
This makes me
second
so
of it.
angry that it's happening.
No, this is phenomenal. It is great. Guess where Mr. Barber practices?
Circle of hell.
Charleston.
I called it.
I do.
And Your Honor, as he takes a stand, their allegations are so ludicrous, I have to respond with my own ludicrous.
Okay, go, continue on, Mr. Harpootlian.
Mr. Barber, where do you live?
I live in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
And where do you work? Where's your office? We have an office in Charleston.
I principally work in an office in downtown Charleston within walking distance of the Charleston Courthouse.
Near Church and Broad?
It is on State Street near Broad Street.
Okay. And do you drive to work every day?
I do.
And how long does it take you to get from Mount Pleasant to basically 2 blocks, 3 blocks from the courthouse?
It takes 15 minutes.
Okay, and that's rush hour?
Yes.
Okay, now, also, before you get on the bridge, to come over the Cooper River Bridge, are there any accommodations that someone who was in a trial in Charleston could stay in?
Yes.
And just give us a sample of what those facilities would be.
There are, I believe, at least 9 budget hotels clustered at the base of the Ravenel Bridge on the both north and south of 17.
And you can get a room there at a reasonable price?
Yes, there's a Comfort Inn, a Holiday Inn, a Hampton Inn, there's an Indigo Inn. There are various, economy, extended stay suite.
What about the
there's
premium
design
inns for
options,
the
And they're more
For the prosecutor.
Yes, and I pass those every day going to
Oh,
the
yeah.
office.
Now, when we tried this case in Colleton County,
He's got real tender skin. He needs,
they rented a big chunk of a Hampton Inn, did they not?
No, they stayed at a Hampton Inn, I believe it was at the Interstate 95 interchange.
Okay. And do you know how, and if you Google how long it takes to travel from that Hampton Inn to the Colleton County Courthouse?
I have not. I know that it took, at least, I've driven it before, the Cracker Barrel was there, but we went to there. It was a good, it was a comparable 15-minute
That's the
drive.
Cracker Barrel. Yeah, it's about 15 minutes, right?
Yes.
About the same time it would take you to drive from one of those Mount Pleasant hotels, budget hotels, to the courthouse.
Yes, if you wanted to get in early, there's a lot of the hotels north of 17 have a highway on-ramp that's right there at the hotels without even having to stop late.
Okay, and does the Charleston County Courthouse have a parking garage?
It does.
And if we went to the Charleston County Courthouse, do you believe that we could get some
I
space?
love how petty this is.
The prosecution.
Isn't this phenomenal? We are arguing the fucking parking garage. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing. Like, this is where we are right now.
It's super fucking petty. Like,
I know.
don't they have parking there?
It somehow gets better. Like, I
mean, this is just so like, oh, I'm loving this. He's being such a bitch, and it's lovely.
Well, what's so funny about it is this is clearly in response to what the state was arguing, because the state's argument was Charleston's so difficult, it's so expensive, we can't possibly do it, it's yada yada. And they're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's the largest jurisdiction where we're getting to the largest venire. Like, this is the largest panel you're going to be able to seat. It's got a massive courthouse. Yes, it's a city, but holy crap, you know what comes with cities? Accommodations and food and all kinds of things. So I was wondering why the prosecutor is pushing so fervently against Charleston.
I mean, I don't know. I think the prosecutor's argument is, well, everywhere is kind of bad, so we'll just keep it here, and he'll get convicted on the basis of, of vibes.
Yeah, kind of.
Defense and perhaps even witnesses to parking.
All I can say is it would be incredible to me if attorneys for the state of South Carolina could not obtain parking spaces at a South Carolina judicial facility.
And does the state, there's a solicitor's office in the courthouse, is there not?
It's either in the courthouse or adjacent. There's actually collection buildings, so there's 16 courtrooms in the actual judicial center, but that doesn't include it. Magistrates courts have a whole separate building adjacent to it.
And
wait, he thinks it would be weird if you couldn't get parking at the courthouse?
Solicitor works for the Attorney General, right?
I mean, they don't get parking to lawyers at the courthouses where I am.
What was that?
He's like, it'd be surprising to me if the if a lawyer couldn't get parking at the courthouse, and I'm like, oh, all of our courthouses, like, the lawyers get no special parking at all.
Oh, around with ours, prosecutors get employee parking.
Just the prosecutors, not the defense lawyers?
Correct. Public defender's office does get employee parking too, but only the public defender's office.
Yeah, I take issue with any time they're like, prosecutors get this perk and defense doesn't.
Don't look at me. I didn't make the rules. They're paid by the state. They're the employees, so they get they get their parking lot or they get their parking garage.
I'm looking at you.
I just think this is funny. I just found this remarkably humorous.
I mean, this is funny as hell to be like,
yeah.
They have hotels.
Well, Your Honor, the only point I'm making is the solicitor certainly make space for a prosecutor from the AG's office to prosecute when they're down to doing statewide grand jury cases. I'm sure they cooperate with the solicitor's office. They're all in the same game. They all both the Constitution.
Well, I don't know that you know that to be true.
Well, that's been my experience. I was
Your
12
experience,
years as
okay?
a prosecutor.
If you want to talk about your experience, that's fine. I just don't want any testimony saying that's true. Y'all don't know it to be true.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, based on your driving in every day and based on those hotels, do you believe it's a 15-minute drive from those hotels to the courthouse?
Yes, I pass the hotels every day.
And now this affidavit, you read this affidavit?
I have glanced at it.
And in the affidavit, their
God, this
investigator
is
says
lovely.
that there are no inexpensive hotels within walking distance of the courthouse, correct?
That's correct. I don't know all the hotels within walking distance of the courthouse are certainly expensive ones. I never really thought of that because, after all, when we were in Walterboro, no one stayed at a hotel within walking distance of the courthouse.
There are no
If we
hotels.
had a trial in, say, Richland County, I would imagine that the Columbia area prosecutors would stay at home and not rent a downtown hotel. So when I looked at hotels, I immediately thought of the 9 affordable extended stay hotels I pass going into work every day to the courthouse.
Which are within 15 minutes of the courthouse.
Yes, and I have Googled the price of those. I did that the day before yesterday, and different ones and different prices. The prices are not elevated because of the Masters tournament, because the Masters tournament, no one stays in the Hampton Inn Lower Bridge in Mount Pleasant to go a 6-hour round trip to Augusta.
Okay.
And the prices are comparable to Hampton Inns anywhere. They're not significantly more expensive, with the exception of sometimes the weekend prices are higher, or they're usually higher because you're near the beach, so there is some peak then.
They would go up on the weekend, but
It's the same price as any other Hampton Inn or Holiday Inn.
did we have any weekend court sessions in Colleton County?
When we were in Colleton County, everyone went home for the weekend. It was the only chance to go home.
So if there is an increase in price on the weekends, that would not affect the price they would pay during the week. Anybody would pay during the week, including us. We may stay, actually, in one of those budget hotels. We're on a budget.
Yes. Yeah, presumably, it would, the weekday prices would be what would be relevant.
Okay. I believe that's all I have from Mr. Barber. I'd like to continue with my argument. Want me to him to be able to cross?
Well, he might want to cross-examine him right quick.
Fine with me. I just, because of the
Yep, we are here now. Creighton Waters is now going to cross-examine Barber. This is now, we live here. We are,
He's going to cross-examine him on the existence of hotels.
and accommodations. And what he found on the Google machine. This is fucking phenomenal. This is so great. Oh my God, the level of petty.
Oh, I am so here for this.
affidavit thing, I'm sort of confused with who's going what when.
Would you like for him to cross-examine him now, and then you can continue?
Yes, please.
All right, go ahead. Well, I have him on the stand so I can let him down. Go ahead, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Good afternoon or morning, whatever it is, Mr. Barber. How are you doing today?
Good, sir. It's just in the afternoon.
Yep. When was the last time you stayed in a hotel in Charleston?
It's been a while. I will say that I had my best friend visit 2 weeks ago, and I put him up at the Hampton Inn that I'm speaking about, and I paid for it.
Okay. And you mentioned that there's a parking garage there in Charleston near the courthouse. Do you park there frequently?
It's been a while since I've parked there.
It's been a while since you parked there, so you don't have.
I have parked there in the past, so I've seen it with my eyes, but I haven't parked there recently.
Right, and so it is true then that that parking garage is filled to the max very early in the morning, and it can be very hard to get a spot there. Is that correct?
I don't know. I will say this: I have parked there on occasion, not for just because it's a parking place. There's been about 3 years I've done this, but just as a place to park. And I remember one time I had to go to the clerk's office for some personal affairs. The probate offices are in there, and it is mostly.
I love that. When's the last time you actually parked there?
Spaces.
That's right, it's mostly reserved spaces.
For people who work, for the state of South Carolina.
And when you testified earlier, you haven't actually talked to anybody.
I love that where he throws that last barb in for people who work for the state of South Carolina, as in you.
The court administration or the clerk as to who manages that parking garage as to how many spaces could be, if any spaces would be reserved for anyone. Is that correct?
I have not spoken to the clerk about the
All
parking.
right. You would agree that Charleston, on a larger scale, probably has the most big city traffic of anywhere in the state?
I would not agree with that.
All right, what do you
Personal
think
experience.
has more traffic?
If you've ever driven through York County, the Charlotte traffic going into York County, I would probably nominate that as the worst in the state.
Okay, so second then?
The traffic here in Columbia, especially around the what's called Malfunction Junction, but also coming in, when I do come into Columbia, sometimes I'm staying a little north and come in down.
Are we
Full Street.
seriously arguing
That is a
about
nightmare.
how
Yeah.
bad the traffic is?
Yes, that is exactly what we're arguing. 100%. And because Creighton Waters was like, you would agree that the traffic in Charleston is the worst in the state, right? And he's like, no, it's not. There's Malfunction Junction around Columbia. There's all the. We are here. This is
You're
what is
very
happening.
confused.
This is amazing. This is my favorite part of the day.
This
Every
is
day.
so.
You're saying the traffic in Columbia is worse than the traffic during rush hour in the Charleston metropolitan?
I'm saying that it's worse than the traffic coming from the Ravenel Bridge side of Mount Pleasant into Charleston.
Would you at least agree with
I want to, if I can finish, you had a very broad question about the Charleston metro area. It's certainly true that if you're coming in from Somerville, right, down I-26 in the morning, that is extremely difficult. But I don't think that no one's going to be doing that. And I don't have experience with that. I've seen it. But coming from those hotels in Mount Pleasant every day to Charleston is a consistent 15 minutes.
Well, it was a simple question. You wouldn't say it's the worst, but you would agree that the traffic in Charleston during rush hour is a lot. Would you agree with that?
I would agree that it is typical of a city of its size.
And traffic downtown, particularly.
God, I fucking love this. Oh, this is so
Oh my
great.
God. I mean,
This
if I
is
was
such-
this judge, I'd be sitting there going, counsel, I just have one question for you. Seriously?
I would probably look at my law clerk and say, can you go back and just microwave for about 2.5 minutes? There's popcorn above it. Hit that button and bring it back out to me because we'll be here for a minute. And I'd like to just at least be able to watch this. Oh, this is great.
particularly during rush hour during the business day, is a lot. Would you agree with that?
Honestly, it's a bit dead down at the Broad Street area. If you go up to King Street in that area, yes, but down where the courthouse
He's not going to concede a fucking inch.
Parking is difficult in downtown Charleston.
I would agree that parking is difficult in downtown Charleston if you're not permitted to park in the, I think, 9-story parking deck that the courthouse has.
You would agree that when you talk about spaces being reserved for maybe a prosecution team, that doesn't include witnesses and law enforcement and all of that, that would be necessary for the state to do what it did in the first trial, and that is to not let court break down once for 6 weeks. In fact, the only time court did break down was after 2 witnesses in the defense case. Is that correct?
Sorry, you were speaking fast. I didn't quite catch the question.
You would agree that if there are parking spaces being reserved for a large prosecution team, that doesn't include spaces that would be needed for witnesses and for law enforcement and that sort of thing, that would be necessary because the state has a burden of proof to prevent court from breaking down in a large complex trial.
No, if you're asking my agreement, I guess then my opinion is that the parking deck is available for people there at the behest of the state because it's the state's parking deck.
Would you agree that the Charleston area is one of the most expensive, just generally expensive areas in the entire state?
I don't understand what you mean. The expense of what?
Cost of food, cost of groceries, cost of hotels, cost of anything down in that area, as opposed to, let's say, Newberry or Lawrence.
I don't believe that the groceries are any more expensive. I've spoken to the hotels that I've spoken of are no more expensive. If you went to a fancy restaurant, they have more fancy restaurants certainly than most parts of the state does.
So you don't think
so that would cost more if you chose to do that.
You don't think the cost of living is higher in Charleston?
McDonald's is the same price in Charleston as anywhere else.
You listen to my question. You don't believe the cost of living is higher in Charleston than in many other areas of the state?
I believe that it is.
Are you going to fucking move there? Why are you talking about cost? What is your plan, Creighton? Like, a sandwich is a
like
sandwich.
the McDonald's is the same price there as anywhere else. I'm like,
yeah. Like, Barbara, you're winning me over on this, bud, but this is just...
This is entertainingly painful.
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
Because the real estate prices are higher, which I don't believe is relevant here.
All right. You mentioned something about people going home on the weekends. So do you know if all of the prosecution team went home on the weekends, or do you know if they actually have to stay and work because they had the burden of proof for 6 weeks?
I have no idea what the prosecution team did on the weekends.
Right, because you would agree that a complex trial is pretty much a 7-day-a-week job. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Let me ask you this: Charleston? You would agree has a lot of tourism? Is that correct?
Yes.
It's probably the premier tourist destination in South Carolina, or one of them.
One of them, certainly.
I mean, it's a great place. Right?
Yes.
Most historic city we have, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Charleston has a lot of events. Is that correct?
What a lot means for several events during the year.
Okay. All right. And would you agree that the spring season is the busiest tourist time for downtown Charleston? Did you research that?
I would. The winter is less. Beyond that, there are tourists pretty consistently through the year.
Did you look at the fact that the weekend prior to the trial being scheduled, then there's the 50th anniversary of the Cooper Bridge run?
No, I did not look at outside the.
Would you agree that brings a lot of traffic and a lot of people to Charleston area?
It brings people to the Charleston area who run the bridge. The bridge is closed for a few hours on the weekend. I don't know about traffic, but it brings people in, certainly.
Did you also look at the fact that that very weekend as well, there's also the Credit One tennis tournament in the area as well?
No, that's not anywhere near the area we're talking
You know,
about.
that affects the traffic downtown Charleston?
I've been to that tournament before. It's in Daniel Island. It's nowhere near. It does not affect the Broad Street downtown area.
Would you agree that that same weekend is also
crossing
Flower
on
Mound in
this?
Somerville?
Yes.
Somerville is very, very far away. I don't know what happens in Somerville.
So let me get
It's
this
a different
straight.
city and different county.
As a Charlestonian, you would not say that that particular weekend in particular, much less April and May, are not busiest tourist times with the most influx of people than probably the rest of the year. You wouldn't agree with that?
No.
Okay. All right.
This is like if colorectal cancer was a court proceeding.
Seaweed would be when the most tourists would be there.
Which one would be?
South of the Wildlife Expo.
You would agree that the state has an obligation to try its best to be good stewards of taxpayer money. Would you agree with that?
Oh, now we're going to be good stewards of taxpayer money. I mean,
I
spent a lot on the first trial.
hate this so much.
Yes, all the hate.
Yes.
And you would also agree that the statute specifically states that in considering venue changes, that what must be considered is logistics and an expense, and that at least one of those, the most convenient one of those, should be chosen. You agree with that too? Right?
No, you added on what should be chosen. I do not agree that the state of South Carolina cannot afford to try a case in Charleston, South Carolina.
You don't agree that Section 172185 says that in making a determination whether to proceed as allowed by this section or to order a change of venue for trial, the court shall consider all the logistical and expense elements and consistent with the demands of justice, choose a method that results in the least expense and greatest convenience for all parties. You don't agree that that's what the statute says?
They're consistent with the interest of justice, yes.
All right. And I understand consistent with the interest of justice, but would you agree that Charleston is one of the most logistically challenging counties in all of South Carolina?
Absolutely not.
Disagree?
Absolutely.
All right. And would you agree that Charleston, downtown Charleston, is one of the most expensive areas in all of South Carolina?
Again, that's a very difficult question to answer when you're not seeing what's being purchased.
Food.
So where you buy your food, as I said earlier, the same places cost the same amount of money. There's plenty of food. The McDonald's doesn't cost any more. The fast food costs what fast food costs. If you go to one of the many expensive restaurants, it will be expensive.
So it's your testimony here today that spending weeks down in downtown Charleston would result in no greater expense than if you were in many of the other counties of the state.
Absolutely. And to your earlier question about logistical difficulty, the logistically difficult counties are the counties that don't have the infrastructure to support the trial. You know,
That's the point. I think that's the biggest point, is wherever you put this trial, you have to make sure there's enough people there to get a good veneer. You have to make sure there's enough logistics to actually support a trial of this size, the prosecution team of this size, the defense team of this size. And it's not simply about the city itself. You know what big cities usually have? Suburban areas surrounding them, where the suburban areas have a lot.
He's like, this is going to suck no matter where we do this. So why not do it where we are? Or why not do it here?
And and I saw this point. I don't know. Let me tell you this. Bond 2877, Rob, I beg you, I live in Charleston. Please let me tell you how wrong Putin and Barbara are right now. I don't know who's right. I don't necessarily give a shit. I'm just watching this, and this is fucking entertaining. We are now on a full out debate with two lawyers, one lawyer cross-examining another lawyer on the cost of sandwiches. That's where we are.
I mean, this is my favorite bit of petty bullshit in the history of time.
This is insane.
There's no place to eat. There's no places for us to stay, for example, in Walterboro, right? There were no hotels. There were hardly any restaurants. You know, you were bumping, there was a huge crowd. That's why they had the food trucks come out. Those were the logistical difficulties. I eat lunch in downtown Charleston every day. If you want to get a sandwich, it costs what a sandwich costs. It is not especially expensive.
Let me ask you one last question.
Liar.
Would you agree that the United States District Court for the District of South Carolina recognizes the high cost of Charleston lodging in its reimbursement schedule and has a price of $380 per night, by far the greatest in Charleston from March through May? Would you agree with that?
I have not looked at the GSA schedule for their per diem.
But you wouldn't dispute what I just told you, would you?
Would you just say no? I'm not going to offer an opinion on what I would or wouldn't dispute. I haven't even seen it.
So you don't know, being a lawyer in downtown Charleston, that
That's 3 questions.
the most during March through May.
Yeah, I've got one question for you.
What I know, based on being a downtown
Proceeds
lawyer,
to
is
ask
what it costs me to go
17
get a sandwich.
questions.
I know how long it takes to get to the office. I know how long it takes when I pass the hotels. I know what those hotels cost because I just put somebody up in one of them. That's what I know from personal experience.
Right. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Briefly, Mr. Harpillion.
Mr. Barber, you heard the Attorney General ask you specifically compared to Newberry and Lawrence, right?
Right, Newberry
and Lawrence. Newberry County has the same number of population as Carleton County, right?
Yes, we
Very small.
39,000 some people in each county.
Okay. And Lawrence is even smaller. So based on our experience in Carleton County, is your opinion, having been through that there would be sufficient jury members after we go through all the, remember now, that was before the conviction, before the movies, before the 6 books. Would that have an impact on our ability to obtain a jury in either one of those jurisdictions? Do you have an opinion as to whether or not to be sufficient jurors?
I think it's common sense that when you have a jury pool that is 10, more than 10, I think that would be 11 or 12 times bigger in a county, that you are proportionally 11 or 12 times more likely to be able to pull a jury. And I would also think that those considerations would carry more weight in picking a venue than that's how much the prosecution has to pay for him.
And you understand that the solicitor for those 2 counties is Mr. Stumbo, who will be the new Attorney General in January, and his boss, and has been the elected solicitor from those counties for about 20 years. Do you understand that?
All of that, except I didn't know it had been 20 years.
And that he would have had the ability to, running for re-election, to have a much more knowledgeable and relationship with jurors than we would ever have, than Mr. Murdaugh. In other words, it would be home cooking to have him doing it in those counties, don't you think?
I honestly don't know what.
Did he just say it would be home cooking?
Through.
Basically, he's suggesting that the new AG or the incoming AG, that's his home jurisdiction.
Okay.
Which I found to be quite curious if that really is true. And you can imagine how someone who's running for a political position might be very interested in keeping the what is going to probably going to be South Carolina's largest trial very close to home. I just think the size of the jury pool. So when they're going through this in my head, this last point that was being made in my head, I'm going, yeah, I would pick the biggest fucking place in South Carolina that I could to pull from on the chance that I'll find someone who hadn't seen this trial. That
I mean,
was where
they
my
need to
head
find
went.
somebody who totally lives under a rock.
All the rocks.
I mean, their preferred juror is going to be somebody who it's like, have you watched this trial? And he's like, not unless it's porn. You know, and that's like their ideal juror. It's like somebody who hasn't watched
or the
anything other
jurors
than
that like,
porn.
I don't have TV or internet. And you're like,
Yeah.
what? Yes, you. I will put you on my jury.
I live under a bridge, sir. Excellent. Best
Yes.
juror ever.
Is it the bridge that's down the street by the courthouse? Like that one?
Yeah,
Oh.
ideally a bridge that's close by.
That is where this is what we've devolved to. Now, of course, the judge has to make a ruling, and the judge, one of the things that's kind of funny is usually you expect that people are arguing against a change in venue. The prosecution is usually saying we don't need to change venue. I think everyone realizes here Colleton County can't be the fucking venue. It's not possible. So the judge is going to change it, but where are we going to change it to? And the question is, do they have to stay within the circuit, meaning that subdivision of the state where there are several courthouses, or can she go outside of the circuit? Because the preference is to allow, you want to keep it as local as possible to where the offense occurred, to where that populace is, so that they can be a part of it. They can adjudicate the guilt of the person that's there. But if you can't do that fairly, then you can go outside the circuit. Oh, son of a bitch.
So much to say, probably not. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Harpillion. All right. I understand. It sounds to me like y'all are just agreeing to disagree. Y'all just want, each one of y'all want a different place to hold it. But let me tell you, I've read your motions, and I took them seriously and went through and did some work on them. And I'm going to tell you, after reviewing the motion submitted by both sides, I even went back and looked at the transcript of the jury selection that was conducted back in January of 2023, and also the opinion from our Supreme Court. I'm going to order that venue be transferred to a county outside of the 14th Judicial Circuit, because I believe that the defendant cannot receive a fair and impartial trial in Colleton County. I'm making this ruling in pursuant to the South Carolina Code 172180, and it's supported by case law. That would be State v. Law, where the circuit court retains the power to transfer venue outside of the circuit where a fair and impartial trial cannot be had. So I'm transferring it not only from Colleton County, but out of Colleton County completely. I find that the defendant has satisfied his burden under State v. Manning, where he's demonstrated actual juror prejudice. And unlike the ordinary pretrial publicity case, the evidence before this court is based on the actual results of the voir dire conducted in this case in the January 2023 trial. Fewer than 1 in 7 prospective jurors were qualified to serve, demonstrating an extraordinary degree of community experience.
Holy shit. That number is crazy.
Yeah.
Fewer than 1 in 7 were qualified to serve.
And that was before.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh yeah, before this thing turned into the world's
Yeah.
Under
shit
Reamer
show.
versus U.S., the interference with the jury process by an officer of this court is deemed presumptively prejudicial and cannot be measured by any voir dire. Ultimately, the decision to change venue lies within the sound discretion of the trial court, providing that a showing of actual juror prejudice is made. This ruling rests on 4 grounds. First, the exceptional rate of juror disqualification during the January 23 jury selection. Second, the community prejudice arising from the size of the county and the long-standing association between the defendant's family and the 14th Circuit. Third, the South Carolina Supreme Court's determination that the former Colleton County Clerk of Court improperly influenced the jury, depriving the defendant of his constitutional right to an impartial jury. And fourth, the form of publicity surrounding this case. There's case law that says I can't transfer something just for publicity. That can be cured. But with the four grounds that I've just stated, I am transferring it. Further, this ruling is supported by the court's recent order in Beach v. Parker that I just read yesterday that Judge Kelly was interested in his order. I did go read it. There, the court found that the moving party made an affirmative showing that a fair and impartial trial could not be had in Hampton County due to the extraordinary pretrial publicity and the surrounding litigation. The court concluded, other than publicity, the settlement of the wrongful death action, the criminal prosecution of Mr. Murdaugh, the defendant in this case, including his reversal by the clerk of court. The same publicity and public attention that justified transfer in Beach is present here and further supports this court's determination of a change of venue is necessary to protect the defendant's constitutional rights. Further, I'm going to find that under Section 172185 is not an adequate alternative. That procedure would require Colleton County to bear the substantial cost of transporting, housing, feeding, and securing an out-of-county jury throughout a multi-week trial. More importantly, it would not remedy the prejudice identified by this court or eliminate the concerns arising from retrying this case in the same community where the constitutional violation occurred. I find that there's no lesser remedy that will adequately protect the defendant's constitutional right to a fair and impartial jury. The court rules venue is transferred outside of the 14th Circuit. I'm going to reserve my ruling to the specific county in which this matter will be transferred. Let me tell y'all, it takes a village to get this case transferred. For those of you who don't know, there's a lot of other things besides walking into a courthouse and sitting down and trying to try a case. We have to consider security, transportation. Is a courthouse adequate? Is there lodging? There's also docket considerations that have already been set for next year. There's a bunch of matters to consider. So what I'm going to do is I will think about it. I need to look at it. I will tell you, Mr. Waters, you are correct. Cost is a concern because Colleton County does bear the cost of the retrial in this case. Colleton County is not a rich county. It's a poor county. So that will be at the foremost of my thoughts when I transfer this case. I was in hopes that the two of y'all could agree on a destination, but since that's not happening, I will decide and I will let y'all know. I will issue an order. I will do a formal order on my transfer of venue and also will designate the county into which we are going to try this case. Okay? Any objections?
None from Your Honor.
Perfect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
She's like children.
All right. Now, the last motion. Mr. McCullough, I know you've been sitting here since 10 o'clock.
All right, we're not going to watch that one. That's basically getting information about the jury. That jury investigation, the judge allows it to happen. But that is the update on Murdaugh. I love the judge. And I love just watching this thing again. So I told you that last motion was going to be entertaining.
You were not wrong.
We are arguing over the price of a sandwich. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
To be fair, it sounds like they have some very expensive sandwiches out there.
They do, apparently. And they have a lot. Just the fact that that was being debated was pretty remarkable. Now, I did like the court's admonishment at the end. Like, I was hoping y'all be able to come to a decision, but since you can't, I'm going to do it, and I guess I'm going to have to pick the jurisdiction myself. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
I mean,
All
if
right,
I
but
was the judge, I'd probably be looking to pick the least pleasant jurisdiction available.
For both of them, make them all drive.
Yep. It's like, all right, everybody's going to go to, Fungus Town. That's where we're having this.
It's just going to be interesting. I'll tell you what, this trial is going to have fireworks in it. It's going to have fireworks.
I feel like it's already had some fireworks.
I know. It's already entertaining, and we are just at pretrial. So I'm looking forward to this one. All right, I'm going to swoop and catch up on Super Chats. Then I've got to get out of here because I have to get a flight in the morning. And I wanted to be done within 2 hours. I'm now probably going to be done within 3, but you know how it goes.
I mean, that's partially because I'm here.
Yeah, it happens. I'm glad you're here, though. Thank you for helping me through this.
Oh, dude, I've missed this so much.
It's been a lot of fun. Okay, so playing a bit of catch up. Diane McP lost my mom 3 years ago today. She was 90. I'm so sorry for your loss. Happy heavenly birthday to your mom, and hopefully you're doing okay. Eagle Tall Rock. Sure. Eagle Tall Rock. Welcome back. As for the names, just do what I do. I was raised to respect my elders and their rank they earned. They will always be blank to me. That's true. Music to my soul. I have missed that swoop so much. Yeah, it's been fun. Lauren L. Still disappointed we didn't get the sequel, Behind the Bars of Justice. Yeah, a lot of people are disappointed about that. Courthouse Becky caused so much. That's the thing. If you don't realize how much damage she caused, last motion. Yeah.
I was so disappointed that she didn't get hammered.
Just the fact that she got slapped on the wrist is pretty frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to see her, getting a real chunk of time.
The amount of money this is costing is just insane. Insane.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they were like, all right, you get to, you get to pay for this entire cost.
Yeah, you wish. All right. Hello, X5M. The whole world knows who Alex is. A lot of people do. Creed, I saw this joke come in, and I'm sorry I didn't pull it up earlier. Lots of funny moments, but none were better than when Rob and Karen Reed 2.0, reviewing Dr. Wolf, pulled out calipers to see how thick 5 millimeters was with some unfortunate eye directions. Yes, I recall looking down at my calipers to see how big 5 millimeters was. That was quite the moment.
That was a bad choice.
Yeah, it was. It was terrible. Chrissy Joy 1-4. Ian has been doing amazing on YouTube, but nothing beats this duo in action. Ian has been doing amazing. And guys, this new job is going to give him a lot more opportunity to spend some more time doing what he loves. And honestly, it gets him more time to be on YouTube talking with y'all. So please, please, please support the channel.
I'm hoping that there's going to be some opportunities to do like actual trial coverage, live, like trial watching. So that wouldn't be until at least October, but it might be a thing.
It's still important.
Watch a trial. So, yep.
Vez, oh my God, I didn't get the notification for that. Cheers. Cheers, Vez. Good to see you. Pasty Resistance, oh my God, you made my weekend. So good to see you back. Much love to the family and your mom. Had to give up membership at the time or hard. Please don't spend money on channel. Don't spend money on anything. Spend money on yourself. Please, please, please do. I do this because I like doing this, not for any of the stuff. I like talking to you guys. I like being able to engage with you guys. I like being able to explain the law. Vez, again, I need to save money for the new home on the new land, but so happy to see Rob stream. Woohoo. Way to go, Vez. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And save the money, don't spend it. Fletcher boy, Rob, glad you're back on Friday night with Ian. Me too. Cerebral 82. I think Alex Murdaugh was the only testimony who moved the needle from there maybe reasonable doubt to proven. The other two, there was no question for me. I think it's Banfield and the other defendant. Icosaplex, and it's an FNF. It is indeed. It is, and it was, and we had a great time. XCDA, thanks for being a member for so long, and thank you for the chat. Hello, X5M. You think Putin Waters goes to lunch after the hearing? No, I don't. I don't
think they like each other very much.
I would suggest that's probably correct. Scott Jen, the awesome duo, thank you for the stream. Thank you for being here, Scott Jen. Nancy Druby, never left you, Rob. Your family is in my prayers. Thank you very much, Nancy. Lynn KH5RS, late to the party. Welcome back. Missed you guys. Miss you too. Miss all of you. Honk Banana, no. Rob avoided our proof of life demands on Runkle's last stream. No more. We demand Leo, sir. Leo is at the Doggy Hotel. Next time I have the opportunity to give him proof of life, I will give you proof of life. Coral X Mari. Welcome back. You were missed and followed your advice to make something. I picked up woodworking and I'm loving it. You guys touch lives. I'm so glad to hear that. That is so awesome. Hello, X.
I made it into the leather shop just a little bit ago, and it's amazing just how much like that can be a restorative thing to get out there and actually be like, all right, the world is full of chaos, and I'm just going to sit here and
make
do something with my hands, and yeah,
it's pretty awesome. Hello, X5M. Can we change a venue to McDonald's and Super 8 versus South Carolina? Maybe, I don't know. Aqua 46784, catching up 2 times speed. Yay, FNF. Glad to have you here. Azam, good to see you. Hey, you're back. It's been a while. It has been I'm really glad or has been a while. I'm really glad to be back and really glad to see you. I'm very glad to see you. Thanks for being here. Bon 2877, Charleston is the right place simply because of the jury pool, but literally every other answer he gave wasn't accurate. I don't know anything from one way or the other. I really don't. Just the fact that hearing happened was my entertainment. Vexatious Parrot, so happy to see you too. Fletcher Boy, Ian still has the tie. Of course he does.
That tie, like right now, if there was a fire, I'd be trying to grab the tie on the way out.
Shanta, so the Fab Duo is on every Friday. Love you both. I'm going to try.
Life is going to be busy and chaos and so forth. But,
for everybody. So I like being here. I'm going to do my very best to get here and try to be more consistent on the streaming. We're just going to I'm going to ask you to bear with me while I do it. That gets us all caught up. Ian has been doing wonderful recaps on the Lindsay Clancy trial. So please check those out. The case where the prosecution is putting on the defense.
It's it's a tough one. If you have any sort of, the prosecution just basically keeps going with, isn't this horrible? And it's like, yes, it is, but that doesn't actually address the critical issues of the case, which is it not guilty by reason of insanity, or is she a cold-blooded murderess? And like a lot of the time, the prosecution, I don't know what their strategy is, because in opening they were like, oh, well, she was just tired of being a mom, so she decided to kill them. And I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And then they're like, here's all the people who say that the best thing going for her was being a mom. Like, wait, didn't you say the other thing in the in your opening? What's going on?
I think I read a take a while ago. Actually, it was just yesterday. I read an article, and it was some lawyer was giving commentary on it. They said the prosecution they were so concerned about getting ahead of the defense case that they ended up making the defense case first. Like if they had just tried their case, not brought the mental health stuff up, let the defense raise the defense, and then use the rebuttal case to refute that, they would be in a much better position. Because once prosecution case is made, I mean, Reddington has been able to annihilate every witness, just annihilate.
Yeah.
And he's co-opted them. He's turned them all into his witness. If they had been able to put on the evidence of the murders, of the actions, and if they had not tried to get into the mental health stuff, then the jury would have a feeling that by the time the defense started putting on the case about the mental health, maybe the jury wouldn't be taking it in as much. And then the prosecution could bring in their rebuttal case and go after the defense case. But the fact that the prosecution is offering up these defense witnesses like lambs for slaughter to the defense counsel, and it's not even like lambs for slaughter. Like half of the prosecution witnesses are openly favorable to the defense position that she was under significant mental defect.
Well, I mean, the one that shocked me was Dr. Clancy. Because, I mean, if anybody had a motivation to come in and just be like, yeah, send her to jail for the rest of time. And
Yeah.
then that's not what he does. He comes in and he's like, you know, it's clear he's got a lot of sympathy for her and views this as like a tragic. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is the prosecution relying on this guy? I guess other than just, to be like, well, we called him.
And every mental health professional they have called as a witness, they have been stumbling through it. It's been painful to watch, absolutely painful to watch. I have caught myself scratching my head, just wondering what the hell they're doing daily in any watching of this trial, multiple times.
And you're just sitting there going like, when is this going to make sense? Like, normally by this point of the prosecution's trial, like, you should be pretty much at she's screwed, right? That's where they want to be. We haven't heard from a single defense expert yet.
I know. And that's what's crazy. And the fact that so many people are already at the conclusion that she lacked capacity in that moment to know or conform her behavior, to know her behavior is wrong or conform it to correct behavior.
Yeah.
It's just wild to me. I've just been sitting there watching it, just going, my God. And what's funny about it is you want to have the debate about the morality of the defense and the availability of the defense. Fine, that you can have that debate. That's a debate that you have among the body politic, and you decide whether or not you're going to grant that defense or not, or allow it, and to what extent you allow it. But when that defense is available and it gives the defendant the benefit of the relief that they would get if they prove it, or if the prosecution fails to overcome it, then watching the prosecution of this case in this fashion has been painful.
And especially because this is such an unusual statute, because it requires the prosecution to disprove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And I'm like, oh, that's very favorable to the defense. Like, lots of states have rules where the defense has to establish this, and the defense has a positive burden. And I'm like, oh, like, prosecution, you're in danger here. Do you not realize that? And
yeah, but even so, I still think the prosecution would have been better off not calling all those mental health experts. Right? Don't call them right there. Like,
oh no, they were trying to get ahead of the defense case, and the problem is they just make the defense case look good.
yeah, don't give them the air to breathe. Don't give them the room to make the argument during your case. It's your case. Try your case.
Yeah, save all of that for rebuttal.
So it's been painful to watch, but it's been interesting. All right, 2 more super chats came in. Let me hit those and then we'll get out of here. Lori Dye, Rob and Rocco together on Friday again, an answer to prayer in many ways. So good to see you both. So good to see you and everyone in the chat. And then music to my soul. I believe the prosecution strategy is the hair bows, the uncomfortable hair bows. Yes, if
I was the judge, I would have sent the prosecution a note basically saying, if you keep showing up in the hair bows, I will declare a mistrial, and it'll be your mistrial. So, stop it. You do not get to attempt to intentionally prejudice the jury with that kind of move. So, fuck y'all.
Yeah, I've seen any number of takes, and I honestly, I can't say I don't have a whole lot of judgment for a lot of people who have different takes on this, except for the people that are really attacking Pat Clancy.
Yeah, that one I'm just like, what the fuck?
I have not been a fan of those. So
no, I don't see any basis for it, and you get, but some people are like really keen on it, and I'm just like, how? Why?
Not everything is a conspiracy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the downsides of modern life is everybody sees a conspiracy everywhere, and sometimes it's just like, no.
And it's also the care and reification of the legal system too.
Yeah, it's had a big effect in terms of people's belief of the like, people are not finding the state as credible. It used to be that the prosecution, people would just be like, yeah, they're obviously correct, because otherwise why would they bring a case? And now I'm seeing people say, well, no, I don't believe them, which was never really a thing I used to see.
Yeah, I really do. I get it. To this point, I will have to check out the Laura Owens Parents 341 hearing. I will have to.
That's
take a
on
look
my
at it if I
to-do
can.
list as well. But yeah, was apparently crazy, and apparently they got just absolutely rocked.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch it because it's gonna be pretty fascinating.
Well, and that's one of the things you do, right? You do bankruptcy stuff. So
Oh yeah, I do very much so. Barb Zinzi, good to see you back. Replay crew as just finished work. Enjoy getting off of work and watching a replay. And then hello X5M. Lindsay Clancy doesn't care where she goes. Her family and Pat and his fam is for her. She relives this every day. She already admitted guilt. She wants it done. Got a trial. That's where we are.
I suspect she wants to go to a mental hospital instead of, prison for life, because
Imagine that would be what she's wanting.
Prison for life would suck.
Would indeed. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it, guys. Try to keep posted on everything else. And until next time, enjoy the week. Go out there and make something you'll feel better. And have a great weekend and a wonderful week to come. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being patient with me as I work my way back into the stuff. Catch you next time. Bye, guys.